Good evening. We're going to call tonight's regular Board of Education meeting to order. Starting with our vision statement. Every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. We're going to start this evening with a couple of remembrances. Vice President Pearson, if you can start.
Would like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Keisha Miller, who was a sophomore at East High School. Keisha is remembered as someone who was an exceptional daughter, sister, and friend. She was a leader and she went above and beyond to check on those around her to make sure that they were okay. She had a captivating smile and personality and left an impression on everyone that she met. Keisha's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students and staff in the East High School community, and we remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Keisha Miller. Thank you.
Tonight, we also have a remembrance of Eric Garcia Ortega, and if Principal Amy Wiederath and BRS Liliana Diaz could come to the podium. Thank you.
Nos gustaría pedir un momento de silencio esta noche para que nuestro distrito escolar reconozca el fallecimiento de Eric García Ortega, quien estaba en 9º grado en la escuela secundaria La Follette. Perdió una batalla contra la larga batalla contra el cáncer cerebral.
We'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Eric Garcia Ortega, who was in 9th grade at La Follette High School following a long fight with brain cancer.
Eric anteriormente asistió a la escuela intermedia Whitehorse. Fue un estudiante dedicado con muchos que conocían y amaban. La contagiosa sonrisa de Eric fue una presencia constante, alegrando nuestros días y recordándonos que debemos aferrarnos a la posibilidad. Con cada desafío que enfrentó, nos enseñó la importancia de luchar hasta el final, manteniendo una actitud positiva. Su optimismo inquebrantable sirvió como un poderoso recordamiento de que incluso en los tiempos difíciles siempre hay una razón para sonreír.
Eric previously attended Whitehorse Middle School. He was a dedicated scholar that was known and loved by many. Eric's infectious smile was a constant presence, brightening up our days and reminding us to hold on to positivity. With every challenge he faced, he taught us the importance of fighting until the end while maintaining a positive outlook. His unwavering optimism served as a powerful reminder that even in tough times, there is always a reason to smile.
Nuestra comunidad escolar ha perdido un increíble joven. Nuestros pensamientos y nuestros más sentidos pésames están con sus familias y sus 3 hermanos, 2 de ellos estudiantes de Whitehorse. Le pedimos que tengan en pensamientos a la familia, a los amigos de Eric y a nuestra comunidad de Whitehorse.
Our school community has lost an incredible young person. Our thoughts and deepest sympathy are with his family and his 3 siblings, 2 who are current students at Whitehorse. We ask that you keep Eric's family, friends, and our Whitehorse community in your thoughts.
Por favor, únase a mí para participar en un momento de silencio en honor a Eric García Ortega.
Please join us in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Eric Garcia Ortega.
Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just say it's a hard way to start a board meeting. We're gonna move into our public input. First, I'll do a quick summary of the written statements that were submitted. We received 12 written statements for this meeting. Of the 12, 7 were written in favor of the Music con Brio program receiving free or reduced space rental at Emerson Elementary. 2 wrote opposed to the later start and end times for middle schools due to transportation issues. And 3 were in support of an amendment to return full funding back to Operation Fresh Start. We also have 29 folks who have signed up for comment tonight here in person and 2 online. Just as a reminder, we appreciate anybody who comes forward to share your experiences in our district. And when we have a lot of speakers, I'm going to just try to friendly remind you that we have 3 minutes for public comment. If you come up to the podium, there's a little box on the podium, shows a green when the time starts, a yellow when you're getting close, like 30 seconds. Thank you. And then the red. I typically don't cut people right when the time goes off, but I do, in full disclosure, I usually on my phone will look at kind of start time. And so try to give you like 30 seconds to finish up. But if you can try to make your remarks tonight within the 3 minutes, it would be greatly appreciated, just so that we as board members can be as attentive as we're listening to all of the speakers tonight. And with that being said, we will start with our online speakers.
Our first online speaker is Jenny Horns.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Jenny Hornis. I am the school social worker for MMSD's Office of Youth Reengagement, which serves the alternative high school programs under Innovative High, as well as Metro middle and high schools. I'm speaking tonight in support of Operation Fresh Start Legacy Program and asking you to vote in support of restoring the funding to this incredibly important partnership between OFS and MMSD. As the school social worker, I've had the pleasure of working with OFS and our shared teacher, Eric, since last school year. And I have witnessed firsthand how incredible this program is for our students that otherwise may not have a path to graduation, much less a path that truly prepares them to be college, career, and community ready. In our continuing effort towards equity and in education, let us not forget to invest in the opportunities that not only best serve our students, but that truly give them an academic and economic power over their futures. A failure to meet the needs of Madison students that desire this pathway to graduation is not only a loss to that student, but to our greater community as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last online speaker is Tutankhamen Assad. We can't hear you if you're trying to speak to us. Let us know. Okay, we'll come back to you.
All right. Our first speaker is Jose Salinas, and then followed by Carol Carlson. Jose Salinas. All right, White, if Jose has stepped out and comes back in, just let us know. Why don't we go with Carol Carlson and then Michelle or Shell Perkins?
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Dr. Carol Carlson, and I am the co-founder and executive director of Music Con Brio at Emerson Elementary School. I came a couple of months ago to speak and am back again tonight to advocate once again for rental exemption for Music Con Brio at Emerson. I wanted to share some additional facts about our program. In addition, I know that many of our current parents have reached out via email or written statements, and I would encourage and ask the board please to take those into consideration as well. I want to highlight again that Music Con Brio was founded in 2011 at the express invitation and request of then Principal Karen Kepler, who went on to become the Director of Operations for the district. Karen had a dream of inclusive, equitable, accessible, and affordable arts education for all students. And Music Con Brio has been working for the past 12 years to make that dream a reality. Back in 2010, when Karen first invited us, Emerson students were massively underrepresented in the East High School Orchestra, as well as in the Wisconsin Youth Symphony Orchestras, and lessons in music were neither accessible nor affordable for the average Emerson student. Music Con Brio has been on site at Emerson ever since 2011 in an effort to change that. I wanted to share some of our statistics with you. First of all, since 2011, Music Con Brio has taught over 350 students in partner lessons and group lessons weekly, violin, cello, piano, and percussion. We have supplied Emerson Elementary School with 19 free in-school assembly concerts that are for all students during the school day, featuring local bands and ensembles. We have performed 21 free community concerts featuring local bands and ensembles. In 2020, we instituted our Music by Black Composers project, which adds a minimum of 3 pieces of music by Black composers to our regular repertoire every single year. And we've been performing and teaching those ever since then. We give thousands of dollars worth of program scholarships every single semester via our sliding scale. And I'm extremely proud that never one time in our entire 12, now in our 13th year of operations, never one time has any student or family ever been turned away for financial need. And that includes families who sign up and say they will pay full tuition and undergo some kind of disaster mid-semester and aren't able to pay a dime. We have never, ever turned anyone away. And if that isn't the definition of equity, I don't know what is. We currently have a student body that is made up of 90% of our students are also Madison Metro School District students. 92% of our current students are current or former Emerson students. And yes, those statistics sound funny because we do have some students who have left Madison Metro School District but maintained their enrollment in Music Con Brio. We also have 33% of our current students are MSCR after-school participants or alumni. And our presence on the Emerson campus allows students who are participating in MSCR to come to their lessons during MSCR time and then return safely to MSCR, completely eliminating the need for their parents to provide any additional transportation or time resources to their lessons at all. We have helped contribute to the college, career, and community readiness of hundreds of Emerson students, including a student who had just this past year graduated and went on to become a music major at Lawrence University. Music Con Brio is central to the identity of Emerson. Just this past month, Emerson employees have walked through many of our classes and touted the benefits of Music Con Brio to prospective parents and teachers. We appear on the Emerson website in a list of student resources, which also includes the Library Media Center, MSCR, and student services. I will finish very quickly by just saying the primary focus of Music Con Brio is providing equitable arts education for the Madison community. Our students are racially and socioeconomically diverse, gender diverse, and neurodiverse. We are a safe space for all students, regardless of circumstance, to access the kind of arts education that has historically been available only to the more privileged members of society. And this is only possible within the parameters originally established with Emerson Elementary, including the use of free space during the after-school hours. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, Michelle Parkins, and then after is Tracy Drill.
Good evening. My name is Shell Parkins, and my son Elio is a student at Operation Fresh Start. I'm here to ask that you approve the budget amendment introduced by Sabian Castro to restore funding that was cut last summer. I apologize because I am so anxious that I can hardly breathe. I recently received my doctoral degree from Columbia University and have had a career working in public education. We moved here last year so I could take a job at UW as the Arnhold Director of Dance Education, and I am now working with MMSD to support equitable access to dance education in the district. Last summer, I supervised dance teachers at the Summer Arts Academy. I know that in this post-COVID world, our children are in the midst of a mental health crisis and have suffered huge emotional, intellectual, and physical delays. We need more support for programs like OFS now more than ever, particularly programs that have kids moving and working with their bodies. I come to you not as a scholar, but as a parent. My son took the ACT in 7th grade and was placed into a nationally reputable magnet school where he acquired high school credits before entering 8th grade. Unfortunately, we moved to a new state and my son began to disengage with school. Elio has always tested far beyond average, above average, but struggled with self-discipline. I've spent hours upon hours working with his teachers and administrators to find him appropriate support. By the end of 8th grade, it was clear that my son's needs were not being met, and my son slowly stopped going to school on time. By his 10th grade year, he was barely showing up at all, sometimes as late as 2 p.m. At that point, he had an IEP. He was a bit of an anomaly, as his teachers all said he was one of the brightest in his class, but he was not performing at grade level. Last year, I finally got him into HIP and he started showing up for the first time in 3 years. Shout out to Andy Tonys. But HIP sends kids to their home schools in the afternoons. Elio would go to West and he would be there all afternoon, but not in the classroom. Finally, OFS was suggested to him in the spring. It's impossible to emphasize how quickly my son turned around. He has been making some incredibly risky choices for the last 4 years. I feel like I haven't recognized my son because of those choices. At a point, I was prepared for the day where I would get a call from the police, the hospital, or the morgue. And then a couple of calls came in. To say I've been scared for my son's future is an understatement. But now he's incredibly responsible, reliable, and communicative. OFS means so much to him, and he is already on track to get through the program. He has really turned his life around. If Elio hadn't gotten into OFS, I don't believe he would be in school at all. Perhaps he wouldn't be at home with me, and perhaps he would not be alive. He has such a promising future, He is an empath, smart, and super conscientious. This is the son I raised who I thought I had lost. This is the son OFS has brought back to me. So I ask again that you support to approve the budget amendment. Elio, I think, was one of the last kids that got into OFS before they stopped being able to accept students, and it has really meant so much to our families. Thank you.
All right, Tracy Drill, and then we'll go with Aaron Proctor.
Hello, my name is Tracy Drill. I'm a cross-categorical teacher at Senate Middle School. I would like to address the adjustment to middle school start and end times. I realize the decision has already been made, and it's a difficult situation. There's no magic wand that can fix the problem. So when you have to crunch the numbers, you have to make those tough decisions. I'm here to tell you we're not numbers. The current schedule, 8:40 to 4:10, is already horrible. Changing time from 9 to 4:30 is horrendous. By 3:30, my students are done. They're tired, they're hungry, and they have an extremely difficult time accessing any learning. There are more behavioral problems in the last hour of school than there are all day long. Please don't assume these kids are sleeping in the morning. Many of them have to get up and take care of siblings, have to get up when their parents leave, and some of their parents drop them off already, like 7:30, and they sit outside until we get there. This abrupt change actually affects people's lives. It's not just inconvenient. One of my students asked, should I quit gymnastics or just leave school? Student jobs are affected. Students will be leaving in the dark, walking from a bus stop. One of my students already gets home at 5 because it's a 40-minute drive for him. My coworker has to go home and take care of their children so his wife can go to her job. Well, now she has to quit that job. There are so many things that are going on with this. I could go on and on, but I think you kind of get the picture. It affects everyone. The administration made this decision without much input from people that will affect the most. They talk about stakeholders, yet don't seem to value their opinions. What if this doesn't fix the problem? I know you said first student will give us their assurances, but you'll pardon me if I'm a bit skeptical. I know we're stuck with the schedule for the rest of the year, that the only option is a new job. But I love my job and I'm exactly where I want to be. I hope you will hear us and make some real changes for the next school year because we are not numbers.
Thank you, Aaron. And then we have Jose Salinas, who was our first speaker, is actually online. So we'll go to Jose.
Okay, hello everyone, Erin Proctor, Senate Middle School, 6th grade math teacher, dual language immersion program. Normally I get up here and I talk to you from my perspective. So today I am taking on the perspective of my students and my families because they did not have a say when it was decided to change our schedule to a late start school. And then it certainly wasn't their decision or having any input when it was time to extend our day even longer by switching us to a 4:30 end of the day. And I can certainly echo what Tracy Jill talked about as students in the end of the day being completely exhausted. They are. So just to fill you in, if you didn't know, from a parent's perspective, I have fielded numerous texts and emails where the parents are besides themselves. They're like, we've already switched our hours at our jobs. They're not going to let us do it again. So parents are now going to have to make decisions. Do they leave their kids alone for hours on end, or do they give up their jobs? It is real. And our especially Latin speaking community is getting the short end of this proverbial stick. The other thing I would like to share is the student perspective. I have two things for you. One is a poster that was made by my students. It says kids first, our focus, our future. Don't let Eastside students walk home in the dark. So I'm going to leave that for you. This is them telling you how they feel. To go along with that, we have a wonderful student who is one of my 6th grade math students who started a petition. So this is channeling my inner 11-year-old. The early start petition will make the schedule 8 to 3:30, an hour earlier instead of an hour later. That's what she came up with. I think it's a fabulous idea. What is the Early Start petition? This is how she talked to people about it at school. The Early Start petition was made to combat the new time schedule 9 to 4:30, effective early November. And combined with the bus schedule and daylight savings, you will be going home near nighttime. And it gets really cold during nighttime. Most teachers don't like the new schedule either. I can concur. As well, also would have less time to get your homework done, pack your lunch, etc. What I'm trying to say is that this new schedule is outrageous. And yeah, that's how she said it. It's outrageous. And almost everyone doesn't like it. Again, I will concur. This fabulous student in the amount of 88 minutes managed to accumulate 140 student signatures. So I said that I would be happy to speak for you and to drop it off. So you got 140 of your future taxpayers and your stakeholders in action saying they don't like this and they are very upset with you right now. So here you go. Thanks for listening to her.
Thank you, Erin. Okay, we're gonna go back to online really quickly, and then after our online speakers, next up will be Iris Hill. But Jesse, can you go ahead and call?
We are having Tutunk Haman Assad speak next. I see you're online. If you could take a chance to unmute yourself, we would like to hear your comments.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
First of all, let me apologize to everybody. First of all, can everybody hear me apologize?
Yep.
So I want to, is it the moment to try to advocate for OFS? Can I speak up in support?
Yep, you have 3 minutes to give your support to whatever you would like.
Well, thank you. Let me get on it. All right. Supporting OFS and the things they do and the wonderful things they bring to the community is vital. There are not that many alternatives for people who don't feel like certain levels of education or what they can do, and they feel validated by this. OFS is one of the most vital things in the community on so many levels. It addresses a pathway. It addresses support. It gets kids vision, and it gives kids hope who really don't want to do anything else. They are a very professional organization. They require accountability, and the people who are the leaders and the teachers and the instructors, they completely and totally care for these youth, no matter how they identify, no matter what melanin content. They just want to produce further and future leaders of the world in a very intelligent way. And I highly support and would ask that instead of being funded, they be overfunded, because they are one of the few proven initiatives that actually works, hears, and supports students. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm so glad we were able to get you in for your comments.
And once again, I'm sorry it took so long.
No worries. Okay, I don't think we have Jose Salinas, so we will move to Iris Hill, and then after Iris will be Rachel Bird Beller. Sorry if I'm.
Hi, my name is Iris Hill, and I'm a teacher at Henderson Elementary. I've been teaching in MMSD for 14 years and at Henderson for the last 12. Henderson is one of the most diverse student populations and a long line of staff that will bend over backwards to give them what they need to be successful. I'm here today because a decision was made and shared publicly in the name of safety, reliability, and equity. This decision has adversely affected our school. Henderson Elementary, along with Anana Elementary, are two of the most diverse high-need schools in the district, and yet they were chosen for this 50-minute shift. This was not an equity decision. It's simply a lie. Ian Folger stated in the media that this decision was made from stakeholders. Who? I do not know of a single teacher, student, or family at Henderson that was able to give any input. These are the stakeholders that should have been consulted. We were blindsided, a tactic many teachers are used to, but not our families. While I agree safety and reliability are important, I want to focus on equity. The Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development defines equity in education as systems that aim to create a level playing field for all children by supporting those who need it most. Additionally, the MMSD Office of Equity and Engagement actively uses targeted strategies to disrupt societal inequities and eliminate disparities based on race and socioeconomic status so that staff and students benefit and thrive. By placing the biggest shifts on the highest need schools, it makes me question what disrupting societal inequities looks like in MMSD. I'm an elementary teacher, but my passion is math, so I've gathered some data from the DPI. And here's what I see. Henderson and Anana are the most affected and have the highest population of students with disabilities, highest population of economically disadvantaged students, and 2 of the 3 highest populations of EL students. How does changing our start time disrupt societal inequities based on socioeconomic status when the schools with the highest percentage of students that are deemed economically disadvantaged are targeted for this shift? How does this change support those that we need most, that need it most? Furthermore, the racial disparities are astounding. We have 20 to 40% more students that identify as Black or brown. How does this change disrupt disparities based on race? This change does not aim to create a level playing field and eliminate disparities. In fact, quite the opposite. Lastly, I'd like to touch on my family, which is a very, very, very small piece of this puzzle. My 6-year-old gets off the bus at 3:16 every afternoon. Previously, I could leave at contract time and get home to get him off the bus. What do I do now? Do I let him walk home alone? Would you want your child, niece, nephew walking home alone as a 6-year-old? I could get him off the bus one day by coming in early, but the trade-off is that I don't teach math that afternoon. How is that equitable? I shouldn't have to choose between keeping my child safe and teaching math to those that need it most. I signed a contract where my day ended at 2:52 so I could teach at a school I love and be the mom that my children deserve. This is no longer the case. And I will end with this. You are board members and are here to be the check and balance. Only one board member wanted this added to the agenda. As board members, elected officials, you owe it to families, staff, and students to discuss this issue.
Rachel? Okay, and then after Rachel, Daniel Barrow, or Barrow, sorry.
Hi, my name is Rachel Bird. I'm a teacher also at Henderson, so I want to second everything that my brilliant colleague Iris just said. I would also like to speak tonight as a parent. I am a parent of a child with an IEP and MMSD, a middle schooler. He wrote a message that he would like to share, and then I'll just add on. He says, "Hi, I just want to express how I feel about the new school's time changes. I have therapy on Tuesdays and I could barely make it with my old school end time 4:10. Now at the end time, 20 minutes later, I have to miss all math on Tuesdays to make it. Also, at my middle school that now gets out at 4:30, clubs and last an hour long. That means if I want to do any clubs, I would have to walk home in the dark as clubs last an hour. And in the winter, it is dark at 5:30. Another thing is that my mom can't pick up my 6-year-old brother on weekdays anymore because her school was changed by a whole hour. Also, I can say goodbye to having friends over after school. Also, to add to the darkness thing, I could be walking home in the winter without any clubs and it could still be dark or almost dark every day in winter at 4:30. Also, I know that this is not a very good reason, but I just don't have any time after school before dinner on weekdays. I sincerely hope this changed your opinion on changing the school times." So I told him I would read that, but as a parent of a child with a disability, my son has autism. He has OT and speech at after school on Tuesdays, and he is no longer able to attend those appointments because he's also in an accelerated math class and he can't miss that every week. So as a parent, I'm making the choice between my son's academic and mental health. And that feels, it feels really bad to both of us. And as a teacher at Henderson, I have so many safety concerns for my students. We are offering before school care, but many of the students who need it most are also students who ride the bus and may or may not be able to access that care. I worry about their older siblings watching them. And I also worry about the Whitehorse students who recently experienced a shooting in their neighborhood and who will be getting off buses in the dark with a 4:30 dismissal time. You are an elected board. This is the moment when we need you to, for staff, students, and families to have an honest discussion about this issue and how it affects the trust that students, staff, and families have in the board, and how that trust can be rebuilt. So thank you.
Daniel, I don't want to say your last name incorrectly, so sorry. After Daniel, we'll have, okay, hold on. I think it's Manet Moy. I'm so sorry.
Hi, thank you for listening. My name is Danny. I am the father of a brilliant, biracial, kind 5-year-old. He goes to Kennedy. Go Cougars. I love you, my son, Amir Rayshawn Spears, and I want that on the record. I am here to speak on behalf of 2 teachers, as well as make 2 quick notes of my own. First, from Emily Coyne, art teacher at Kennedy. I appreciate your willingness to advocate for our school and the art program at the upcoming Board of Ed meeting. If you have the time to incorporate my thoughts, it would be wonderful if you could emphasize the importance of art education in fostering creativity, self-expression, and critical thinking skills for our young students. She also says that there is the need for adequate resources and support for art/music classes to ensure our students have the best opportunities to see themselves as inventors and creative problem solvers. Right now, the art budget is $2,000, which roughly comes to $4.50 per kid for the entire year. This is standard, but always worth pushing for more. Next, from the librarian, Andrea Graham. Biggest thing to advocate for, in my opinion, is smaller class sizes and more social work/psych/counselor support. Thank you for your advocacy. I also wanted to make 2 quick notes. The first is that I think we need universal meals, no questions asked, breakfast plus lunch, period, to reduce stigmatism and to simplify things. It's the right thing to do. Means testing is a cruel waste of time, full of countless faults, flaws, mistakes, and human error. Universal meals for all automatically is my opinion. Finally, schools should be open Monday to Friday, 7 to 5:30 p.m. I don't mean when classes are. In terms of class sizes, I give deference to the wise ladies who spoke before me. However, I do think it should be optional, especially for single parents like myself, to drop off my son earlier and pick him up later without having to gamble my job or gamble on daycare wait lists. Thank you for letting me speak. And I have some extra time so I can quickly state the obvious, that teachers are superheroes, and that is not hyperbole. They are, and they need more money, and they need more support. And Wisconsin should be ashamed of itself, because it's pretty simple. More money, more support, and we need to listen to teachers more. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi, it's Mandy Malloy. I'll learn to write my name better. I appreciate your time. Thank you for allowing me to be here today and speak. I am very fortunate to be a staff member and a mom at MMSD students and with MMSD. I think moving school start times mid-year for our high poverty schools is not best practice, or it is not equitable for our families, staff, or our students. Iris was up here giving you the statistics, And all this high poverty is according to DPI. Our Henderson families, we have 50%, 56% economically disadvantaged, 16% kids with IEPs, and 30% ELL learners. We have been blindsided. Our solutions so far have been to do a before school club. But again, this will help some of our students, but not our most vulnerable populations. Our most vulnerable populations rely on the bus and they will not be able to get there at 7:30 in the morning. We're going to see consequences that will come out. We will have an already larger divide in our achievement. We stayed on our school improvement program that our kids are going to improve in reading and math and attendance. And that's going to be really, really hard to do with our most vulnerable students not getting their needs met. We're going to struggle with retention. Our teachers are going to be struggling and going to be leaving due to their own family obligations. And you've heard a couple safety things up here already. Some of the solutions being talked about, again, we were blindsided. This was a week ago. Solutions being our coaches, our social workers being pulled in classrooms, and we'll have less interventions and supports for our students. Our students are already having an increase in mental, emotional, and physical health in the classroom. I think one of a solution is to work with other bus companies in the area to help ease our burden and to have real authentic conversations with our families and staff to really listen and learn and solve. 3 weeks is not enough to change a school time where all of our schedules have been set, whether it's families, staff, or our students. I'm going to come to you as a mom. I have 2 wonderful children in MSD. One is a freshman at La Follette and one is a 7th grader at Senate. My Senate student, he's a 7th grader, and I've been lucky, this is the first year he has not liked school. For 12 years, my child has liked school. And this is the reason, Mom, why do I have to go? It's too late. I don't want to go at that time. I want to go earlier. So my child is an early riser. He always has been since day 1. He is up and ready for school. He is excited to be there. And now he has to wait. He gets up at 6 and now he's going to have to wait till 9 to be in the classroom. That's 3 hours of his day. His dad and me and his sister have already gone to school and he is sitting in that house doing what he needs to do. But he wants to be at school. Allow him to be at school at those earlier times. He's getting off school. He's walking home late at night. It's going to be winter. It's cold. His activities are getting pushed back. It is very hard to say that a later start is better for middle schoolers because activities are going later and later. Are our kids really getting enough sleep? And I don't think it is. I think he's actually getting less sleep now that the school is later. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. It looks like we have Elio Parablon. Sorry for messing up. And then after, I think it's Elio. Oh, okay. How about Greg Miller? Okay.
Thank you. I'm here to speak in support of the amendment to restore funding for the partnership between Madison Schools and Operation Fresh Start. I've been a part of this partnership for 15 years, for 9 years as a teacher in an alternative program here in Madison Schools, and then now for 6 years on the other side working for Operation Fresh Start. And my role is to work with, in a lot of cases, work with school staff, counselors, social workers, to keep this opportunity open for young adults to come to Operation Fresh Start. In short, the partnership works. I've seen hundreds of young people grow, not just gain a diploma, but grow as individuals through mentorship, through the meaningful work that they're doing to build that vision and build a pathway to reach it. It's an incredibly powerful and incredibly successful partnership. And I ask you to not only support it in the budget this year, but to support it moving forward, because this partnership works. We want at Operation Fresh Start, we want to continue to grow the partnership, to grow what we do together, to create new opportunities and more opportunities for young people for years to come. So please support this amendment this year, but also moving forward, please support this partnership so we can continue to do really, really powerful things for young people. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Greg. Okay, I'm gonna try our next speaker, maybe Oswani Ibrahim. All right, thank you for the correction. Come on up. And then after is Aria Dietzman, Anaya. Sorry about that. Thank you.
It's fancy. Do I start now or? Hello everyone. I'm Hosseino Ibrahim from Operation Fresh Start. I'm here for opening up the spending budget and not closing it. As a young adult, before coming to Wisconsin, I came from North Carolina. After moving here, I didn't really, like the environment. It was very different. I didn't really know anyone. And then COVID hit. I didn't really get to meet people. It was very hard, especially with the online thing, and possibly like everyone else. School wasn't very supportive, especially growing up, moving state to state, house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood. School is the last thing on anyone's mind. But after moving here and going to Operation Fresh Start, I get to meet wonderful people and try to make a better future or a better change of my life than I wasn't able to do before. I meet fabulous people. I get to do wonderful things with the community. I get to help people out. I'm a conservation crew member, so I'm literally just helping with Dane County, doing little stuff like, picking their seeds for them, or, picking up invasive species, which end up in a day saves everyone millions of dollars. I don't like to pay money on things, but, we save billions of dollars picking seeds that, we don't have to pay for tax money. It can always focus on everyone else. It makes everyone a happy future, because, it isn't always good being inside of a classroom, listening to someone talk to you, and then you have to do that. Very big at school, but OFS is very small. You get to take time and meet everyone there, get to know everyone's story. Unlike school, you don't really get to do that unless you're like in a club or something. And even there, it's very rare that you get to sit down and talk with someone and be like, what's your story? What did you do before coming here? What's your plans for the future? But OFS, they're constantly asking you that question. And everyone here shows that they want every young adult that comes through their door to leave with an idea of what they want to do with the future. Before coming to OFS, I didn't even care about college. For real, I didn't think I was going to get a high school diploma. I didn't care about college. I didn't care about getting a driver's license. But after coming to OFS, I've got my driver's permit. College is more of a certified idea in my mind. I even learned how to save someone's life. I did CPR training. Did not cross my mind that I'll do any of these certain training courses that they have here. And I would hope that not only we don't even need money, we just need the option of more students coming in to bring in a brighter future for every young adult coming in through the doors, and to brighten up the community members, because that way everyone is picking up a better future with their own two hands instead of picking up a book and listening to everyone or someone telling them this is how the world works. But here you're actually learning how the world works. Thank you very much.
Anaya, and then we'll have Corey Rich after Anaya.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. My name is Anaya Dietzman, and I joined OFS just 2 weeks ago. Greg and Bill were interviewing me, and they told me in my last interview that there was a hold on letting anyone into the program because of the contract between OFS and MMSD. I told myself to get in this program as fast as I can. I felt and still feel as if OFS is my last option or chance to achieve things I know I want to achieve for my future. And I think a lot of people feel the same. I like to get things done fast or as soon as I can, because on certain things, I can always go back and fix it, but you can't fix what you had the opportunity to do and didn't. When I want something, I need to know exactly who to speak to and where they might be. Otherwise, I'll try to figure it out myself, but when it came to school, like 1 or 2 years ago, when it was COVID time, I just gave up. And when they did the, when they showed me everything in OFS, They showed me where people's offices were, specific places I had to go if I wanted to know something, and that actually helped. COVID didn't give the opportunity for teachers to help young adults the way that they wanted to, and it just made school harder for everyone. I'm able to get good grades if I want to or if I have to. But having to keep up with those couple weeks every semester, like on the Chromebook, and then you would see what weeks you finished and what weeks you still had to go. OFS gives people options and opportunities to better themselves. And I only actually started thinking about my future when I realized I was going to be 18 in a flash. I had 2 other program options. I can't remember what they are because I was most interested in this one. But I chose this one because it gives me more confidence to do the things that I normally wouldn't do. And I decided less than 10 hours ago while I was making the speech that I'm going to get everything I need for the next 10 years in 2 to 4 years. And I decided less than a year ago that I was moving out by the time I was 19 or 20. And just consider how many people can or have benefited from OFS's support. Thank you.
Is Corey Rich? All right, Corey. And then after Corey is, I think it's Eric Eifler.
Hello, I'm here today to speak about the transformative experience students at Operation Fresh Start have while engaging in hands-on community service work. The things most people don't understand about the work our young people engage in on site is that it is inherently academic. When on construction sites, our students work constantly in fractions and put algebra to use to determine measurements. They get to experience the real-world application of geometry and physics, subjects that often feel abstract and useless when taught in the classroom. When on the conservation work site, our students put environmental science, chemistry, and biology into action. They witness the negative impacts of vegetative monocultures. They learn how to safely mix and handle chemicals and the effects those chemicals have when applied to plants. However, there's something far more important that our students gain through their time on the work site, and that's confidence. Our students learn to push through individual and collective hardship to achieve a goal. They become pillars of their community for their work building affordable housing and restoring natural landscapes. They get to experience having success as a part of a team and accomplishing more than they thought was possible. They get used to success, and that success breeds confidence. With a newfound sense of confidence, our students feel empowered to try things they previously assumed were outside of their abilities. They engage more in the classroom. They begin to more aggressively pursue their career goals. They explore attending college, and some make the decision to attend. And once in college, they find success there as well. And I know that all of this is true because just recently I had a former student reach out to me unprovoked via text with a picture of her in a cap and gown. Her message read, "Thanks again for all you and Operation Fresh Start have done for me. From you motivating me every day to be a better version of myself down to the scholarship, because Lord knows that came in handy. Until August, I'm at home working at Leopold Elementary School as a special education assistant. My next stop is either Alabama State or Southern University to get my master's in social work." All of this from a young woman that was not on track to graduate a few short years ago and found success, confidence, and a pathway to a high school diploma through her time at Operation Fresh Start. So with all that said, I ask you to consider supporting the budget amendment before you today to provide as many students as possible the possibility to find the same confidence and success that I have witnessed from hundreds of past students. Thank you.
After Eric, we'll have Antonio Williams.
Hi, thank you. So last time I stood up here asking you to support the halftime teacher position for OYR that is placed at OFS, which I'm currently in that role. And I wanted to say thank you for that support. With that support, as much as there's been a lot of machinations behind the scene about how the partnership works. For the students on the ground, we were able to keep that pretty much out of everybody's hair, and they were able to focus on what they needed to do and carry through. So this time I'm here asking you to preserve the students' ongoing ability to continue to access this programming through supporting the amendment to get put the money back in the budget for OFS MMSD. I think a lot of what I was going to say has already been summed up by the other speakers up here, including the young people. Traditional school does not work for everybody. OFS turns out to be a really great option for some really great learners. You know, COVID really threw a wrench into things, as we all know, and OFS has been a great landing pad for a lot of young people to re-engage with their education and their futures. I would love to see that continue. I mean, the students you heard today, that was not scripted. That was, I threw it out there to the student body, like, who wants to go advocate? They did the writing, they put that together themselves. And like, I appreciate the young people, these young people and all of our young people at OFS. So thanks again, just for your earlier support this year. And I hope we can continue this partnership. It is, I don't know that everybody recognizes like how this partnership between MMSD and OFS is nationally recognized, like amongst like youth build programs and such. It is looked up to very highly. And I would love just to see us continue to work together and to continue to build the partnership and grow it into the future. Thank you.
All right, Antonio, and then we move to David Lostorf.
Hi, my name is Antonio L. Williams Jr. I'm here with Operation Fresh Start today, showing people that there are more ways than just school to get you to your goal, and also to get you more opportunities outside of school. And also, before I ever got to Operation Fresh Start, it was a big change for my, I want to say, generation, because of Zoom and how we had to change. So it was a big old change for me as a big part of staying in school and being on task, I want to say, and all the rituals that come with school, because of the big change of from staying at home and getting into in school in person. And that big old change kept me from school, and Operation Fresh Start helped me get back into school and get back on to my daily life and getting me out ready for outside of school and getting me for my real life and jobs and paying bills and more things that comes to that, and also driver's license and more ways to keep my bills flowing and keeping me happy. I will always have to thank Operation Fresh Start for that one. So pretty much all.
David, great. And then after David, we have Jeff Russell.
Hi, my name is David Lonsdorf. I'm a retired UW family medicine doctor. I'm also the vice president of the board of Operation Fresh Start. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you and to the school board for being a great partner of Operation Fresh Start for the last 30 years. I'm urging you to support the budget amendment proposed by Savian Castro to restore full funding to Operation Fresh Start from $133,000 to $250,000. This funding will allow OFS to continue to enroll disenfranchised MMSD students in our legacy program. In the past 12 years, we've graduated over 500 high school students who would otherwise not have finished school. In addition, OFS makes sure that they get driver's licenses and career counseling so that they're ready to take on their adult lives when they finish. Our staff is the main reason for the success we have with helping these students who would otherwise not likely be able to complete an education, starting with the outreach team who finds and helps enrolls the participants, to our teaching staff who work one-on-one with them to improve their math and reading skills, to our job site supervisors in construction and conservation, to our driver's ed teachers, and our empowerment staff who get students ready for the world after high school. We have a great team who work to ensure that our participants truly get a fresh start in life. I want to also say that I'm not only a board member for OFS, but I also volunteer with the Legacy Crews in the Dane County Parks. Today, I spent the day out at Prairie Moraine County Park with a Legacy Crew and started my 10th year of doing this. So I know what I'm talking about. I see these kids when they start with Fresh Start, they're often somewhat confused. They seem lost. Their social skills are not real good. There's not good eye contact, and they clearly seem like they don't know what they're doing with their lives. By the time they finish, merely 9 to 12 months later, they're much more confident. You can see that when the way some of them are speaking tonight. They know what they want to do. They have the skills to go out and make something of themselves. I'm an old man. I'm 71 years old. My back hurts. I've had back surgery. I have arthritis in my wrists. You might wonder why I spend the time out in the woods with these guys. And the reason is that they're inspiring. Every single day I go out there, I can see that they're making changes in their lives, and I want to help them with it. This program really works. So I ask you again to please support the amendment and restore full funding to Fresh Start. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Jeff? Oh, Jeff, hey.
I'm right here. No.
Clay,
Time.
Clay Engel, will be after. Thanks.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to comment. My name is Jeff Russell, and I'm the secretary on the executive committee of the OFS board. My day job, I'm a professor of civil and environmental engineering, one of the 13 deans on the campus at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, focused in continuing education. Well, I just have 3 quick points. Point 1, pedagogically, and this is part of what I do in my job, pedagogically, this pathway works. It makes sense, it's good for the community, and having options or pathways for alternative learning makes a lot of good sense for the individuals, but also for what it does in the community. So from my professional and technical background, and as you have heard, it does work. 2, as you all know, as board members, and depending on how things are articulated, you can see education as an expense or an investment. I think we're talking about, and as all of you know as board members, this is an investment. And what we're saying here is we're making an investment in our community and in our young people that are going to stay here and help build the community. Now, if you want to think about it, just as I understand it, when I look over some of the information, the back of the envelope calculation would be where it's about $16,000 per student in the district. I would say if you look at the budget amendment, it's $7,000, less than 50% is what's being asked for to move it. As David mentioned, the amount that was originally requested, it was reduced back to that. So what I'm suggesting is there's a $9,000 differential that is being underwritten by the Operation Fresh Start staff and others, because our education takes effort, as you've heard from some of the other speakers. So I think from an equity point of view, and if you want to think about things in terms of opportunities to make that investment, these young adults are well worth the investment in our local community. The third point I would just say from my own personal experience, I've had a chance to interact with the students, with the staff. These are beautiful, bright, and capable young people in our community. They see things perhaps, or they go about things in a different way. We've all had nudges. from different points of view, but this is really, really important. And what I would say that many have not maybe said, I'll try to say more clearly, this is about culture and family. I have seen these staff, this is not just a transaction. They care, this staff cares deeply about these students and their success. And so I would just ask you to please consider restoring the budget amendment, making this investment in our young people and building a better community. Thank you.
All right, Clay, and then after Clay, Melody Glazer or Glazer.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Clay Inglerth. I am an electrician for MMSD. I have been here for the past 13 years. I come here tonight to ask you that you consider the $5 raise for the trades. There are roughly 1,000 hourly employees throughout the district, all of whom who have received the raise except the 24 tradespeople. 24 people who compared to their outside counterparts are the most underpaid of anyone in the district. Over half, $10 or more behind their counterparts on the outside. 24 people who are here every day on snow days when everyone else is at home, we are here. During COVID, when it was too dangerous for everyone else to come, we were here. At the current rate, we cannot find people to fill our open positions. Some positions have been open for years, positions which save the district money. With unfilled positions, we have to hire out work we can do in-house. Hired out work at a rate of double, or in some cases, almost triple what our own employees can do it for. We are not asking to be treated any different than any other employee. We are simply asking for fiscal responsibility and equality that would ultimately save the district money. So I humbly ask you consider giving us the $5 raise you gave every other hourly employee. Thank you for your time.
After Melody, we'll have Saul Glazer or Glazer.
Good evening. I am here in support of the funding for Common Threads. The placement is for my daughter. I have 2 children. I'm sorry, this is kind of a lot to be speaking here. Our son is a senior at West. Our daughter would be in 8th grade at Hamilton. She should be, but she is not. Her time there ended a little over a year ago. The morning we received an urgent call that our daughter was in extreme distress and we needed to get there now. It is a 7-minute drive. When my husband and I arrived, the entire school was on a hold. We found our daughter in an atrium surrounded by at least 6 school personnel. At the time, she was about 5 feet tall and weighed less than 100 pounds. Now, when I think back on that day, I still get that whole body sick feeling. And what that sick feeling does is bring back all of the other trauma-inducing incidents that my daughter has experienced the past 5 years as she tried desperately to attend school. The call that morning was nothing new, but it was the end of the line. My daughter has the distinction of having been restrained and secluded at both Randall and Hamilton on repeated occasions. In 4th grade, I got a call and arrived to find her in what I refer to as a straitjacket hold, dripping in sweat. The only thing my daughter could move was her head, forward and back like a turtle, in and out of its shell. That's all I am going to say about these incidents in a public forum. Our family is trying to put all of this behind us. And as my husband says, move on. We learned our daughter was autistic when she was 8 and a half. She was in 3rd grade. I have not worked outside our home since. That would be impossible given all of the school interruptions. In the past 5 years, she has attended school about 1/3 of the time. But it's a lot less than that because that does not account for all of the time she had to leave class to walk the halls, attend on a shortened day, or be asked to leave early. Let me close with a word about Nancy, Dr. Malpenter. Nancy cares about kids. When she called me last week to say the board had some questions, She said she had just a few minutes because she was subbing. Nancy was subbing. And nearly 2 years ago, when I first reached out to her and started to describe my daughter's situation, she said to me, "I think I know who your daughter is." I said, "How could you possibly know?" Of all places, Nancy was subbing in my daughter's classroom. Nancy's job is not easy, but she is committed to improving student services, and I encourage the board to support her and her team. Disabled kids need her. MMSD needs her. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. My name is Saul Glazer. I am JG's father, and this is about the funding request for Common Threads. JG should be in 8th grade at Hamilton. She has not attended school for any extended period of time since was in 2nd grade. That means Madison Public Schools didn't educate her in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, or 7th grade. 5 years of no education. Finally, we learned of Common Threads, and the IEP team decided that she could go to Common Threads. She started late last spring, and this is the only school that she's been able to attend over the last 5 years. As my wife indicated, she's autistic. Because of that, she doesn't respond like other people do. She can't deal with the everyday demands that other people do. She's subject to panic attacks, frequent meltdowns. She's marked by high levels of anxiety, and all that Madison has done over the last 5 years is make it worse. Every day she has attended school, it's only made it worse for her. Common Threads is the first time that she's starting to move forward. I'm not placing blame on anyone, although no one listened to anything that we tried to tell them for the last 5 years about what she needs and how she should be taught. But the fact is, there's no dispute. She's not been taught for 5 years. Enough is enough. The IEP team recommended that she go to Common Threads. To put the situation bluntly, JG has said that she feels the staff of the Madison schools treat her as if she's a caged animal. When we've been at Hamilton with Juliet, the staff and the students visibly ostracize her. You can tell that they can't stand her, and she's been excluded from school for the past 5 years, even though Madison claims it's for inclusion. There is absolutely no classroom setting at Hamilton that will work. She can't take the noise. The sensory input doesn't work. She's had no instruction that matches what she needs in terms of her curriculum. She's been excluded from learning for 5 years. 5 years. We have had to educate her for 5 years. We were willing to do that because we knew Madison couldn't make a safe environment. But when we found about a Common Threads, at that point, that was when she was able to be educated by someone other than ourselves. There is no other option. Hamilton has failed. Randall failed. If she goes back to Hamilton, she'll last 2 weeks. You'll spend all your staff time and she'll be in another de facto expulsion. Not providing funding for Common Threads is a clear dereliction of duty on the part of the Madison Public Schools. If you deny funding, you're denying my daughter a publicly funded education for the 6th consecutive year. It's not fair to return Juliet to Hamilton. It's not fair to the teachers, the support personnel, the students, and it's not safe for her. It's never been safe. It's not safe for the students. Thank you for your consideration. If you give me 2 seconds, I want to talk about Operation Fresh Start. I was on a board for Wisconsin, for Kids Building Wisconsin for a number of years. Also in part of CFMA. We've donated to Operation Fresh Start. I've had the students come and speak when we've had fundraisers. It's an incredible program, and the construction industry needs trades, and Operation Fresh Start is a great investment. Thank you.
All right, we will have Josh Davidson and then followed by Jonathan King.
Good evening. My name is Josh Davidson, a community-based social worker where I support families who have kids with disabilities. I've worked with the Glazers and their daughter, with whom I will refer to as JG since 2020. I'm here today to advocate on behalf of JG and her family so that she may continue attending Common Threads. JG is a bright, curious, and charismatic person. She desperately wants to be included, feel a part of her community, and make social connections. Yet due to her disability, these are very difficult things for her. She has significant social, emotional, and sensory needs that negatively impact her ability to learn, develop positive relationships, and thrive in a traditional education setting. JG's disability needs require very specialized supports. At no fault of any individual, JG has a long history of not having her needs met and not being emotionally safe at MMSD schools. Because of the inability of MMSD to meet her needs, JG has unfortunately experienced school-based trauma, highlighted by multiple seclusions and restraints and many other negative experiences. Consequently, she has not attended school on a consistent basis since early 3rd grade. Due to JG's needs not being met, the learning that other students enjoy and to which she's legally entitled has not been available for the past 5 years, thus making it difficult and nearly impossible for her to make adequate yearly progress in academics, especially math. MMSD has not demonstrated the ability to develop a successful program that supports JG's ability to feel safe and learn. Through countless IEP meetings and different supports and modifications, JG still experienced these traumatic events while at MMSD. JG's IEP team and MMSD have already agreed and approved the decision to send her to Common Threads, acknowledging the fact that they cannot meet her needs in the traditional school environment. JG has already shown growth in her time at Common Threads, yet it's slow going. Her class sizes have just started to gradually increase from 0 to 5 students. Her team at Common Threads has stated that they cannot work on any other goal but emotional regulation goals at this point. JG is entitled to a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. At this point, JG's academic and behavioral needs are best met in a very small setting with specialized supports. This cannot be achieved at MMSD. Again, a point that has been agreed upon and supported by the IEP team. Common Threads is the only place where she can receive these specialized supports that she needs to feel safe and to develop emotional regulation skills. This will lead to her ability to return to MMSD to more effectively make growth in her academic skills and to feel a sense of safety and belonging. Allowing JG to build upon these skills at Common Threads centers JG and centers her needs. Thank you for your time and consideration.
After Jonathan, we'll have Brian McMahon, I think. Sorry.
Hi, before I give my comments, I just wanted to say this is my first time hearing about Operation Fresh Start and what an amazing group of students and staff. I'm blown away by what they're doing. If I were to give them any unsolicited advice, it would be to persist, because today you're making your voices heard, but tomorrow you might be sitting up on that board, and my only hope is that you will not be playing on your phones and listening instead. I stand before you today. My name is Jonathan King. I'm the father of 3 MMSD students and son of 2 public educators who are watching online. Hello, Mom. There's ongoing challenges with the busing and transportation system that MMSD has. We're all deeply concerned about the issues that have arisen since the district has chosen to award a bus contract to an out-of-state company. Here's the key points that require your attention. It's no secret that Madison Metropolitan awarded bus contract to an out-of-state company with no local employees or equipment. While the cost may have been lower, it's clear that we're now grappling with the consequences of this decision. I also want to add in the amount of money that this district saved is more than the $110,000 that OFS is asking for. So if you're looking to spend some of that savings, there's a real good option right there. Many of us foresaw the troubles that lay ahead, given the late award of the contract and complex logistics required to transport our children to school. The start of the school year has been nothing short of a nightmare for both students parents, and teachers. Buses lack proper route directions, some drivers resorting to using personal phones for GPS and asking students for directions during the bus ride. My son's bus collectively called their first bus driver NASCAR because of the way that they were driving. Instances of buses not showing up and last minute notifications of delays have left families in a scramble. This disproportionately affects single parents, 2 working parents, and parents of young or disabled students, the very same busing that was intended to help. From a parent's perspective, the contract seemed rushed, the chosen company ill-equipped and understaffed, and communication regarding the struggles has been either late or non-existent. It's imperative that we acknowledge these concerns from our community. What's more concerning is that the issues continue to persist. We've heard excuses about driver shortages and hiring of temporary drivers, but it's not acceptable for our students and their families to bear the brunt of these challenges. First Student, as the contracted provider, should pay the drivers a competitive and fair wages to attract qualified and reliable staff. It's time to address the elephant in the room. What is the school board doing to ensure that First Student is providing services consistent with their contract? What steps are being taken to improve communications with families, ensuring that we have ample time to plan for transportation contingencies? And I'm just going to end here by saying that the First Student has put this board in a very tough position. They have not delivered on their contract, and it's caused you to shift school times for middle schools, affecting hundreds of family, students, and staff. It's not fair that they put that burden on you, and it's not fair that you're putting that burden on our community.
Brian, and then after Brian, Fa-Veng.
All right, good evening. I'm Brian McMahon. I'm the Deputy Director at Operation Fresh Start. And so thank you all for your attention tonight. I want to take my minutes to raise awareness and concern about the January student. Without this budget amendment, I'm concerned about the student who figures out in January that they're not going to be able to graduate in the spring. OFS has already encumbered all the current funds. During the brief hiatus and referrals to OFS during the early weeks of the school year, MMSD was placing students in GTO 2 programming, which DPI recommends appropriate for students with the 9th grade reading level or above. Based on reading scores that our young people are coming to us with, only about 10% of those referrals would meet this criteria for placement with GTO 2. MMSD does not offer summer alternative programming other than Metro High. This January student would likely start something, then have summer break or a summer slide, and then have to restart. And that's if they come back. At OFS, we're year round. This January student could start Legacy and could finish by September or October. As you've heard, OFS is a place where a significant number of students who disengaged during COVID feel extremely positive about re-engaging with their education. There isn't another option for this student. MMSD is not offering year-round roll-in enrollment and other alternative programming. Please support this budget amendment to continue to provide options for our juniors and our seniors to find their best fit path to graduation. Thank you.
Fa-Veng, and then Andrea Missarelli.
Shorter.
Hi, thanks. I just want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak in front of you. I'm a staff person at Operation Fresh Start, and to be honest, I wish I would have had an organization like Operation Fresh Start. I probably would have earned my high school diploma. So it's pretty cool that I get to work with young people who have been underserved. First of all, I love my work. Just like everybody else that works with them or with MMSD and at MMSD, we do it because we care. So I'm the transitions coordinator at OFS. My job is to help young people figure out what that next step is. Even though construction and conservation are platforms for young people, believe it or not, that's not what they want to get into. So my job is kind of help guide them as a mentor, kind of figuring out who they are, what they like or what they don't like, which is equally just as important, and where they want to go. Young people don't have an understanding of careers or even the importance of work history. So we do that at OFS. I work with young people to develop general employability skills, including soft skills, set up job shadows, tours of various employers. It's pretty cool to see our young people get behind an excavator and move that around. When they get that aha moment, man, there's nothing like that. It's great working with them on their resumes, on mock interviews. It's great when they're listing all the cool things that they've done in their lives. But not only do we work with young people on employability skills, but really just life skills. Some of those include just that first apartment, learn how to budget. The financial literacy piece is so important. And another cool thing that we do is we help young people get that driver's license, which is super awesome. We pay for that entire curriculum, and we offer a vehicle if they do not have that, which is pretty amazing. Watching that young person pass that permit test and get that driver's license, and we're sitting over there at the DMV celebrating, man, ain't nothing like that. So, and one cool thing about my job is I get to follow young people for an entire year, but a lot of times more than that. Some of the best work that I get to do is watching that young person graduate and going on to that next level. Me giving them a call and seeing how they're doing, and if they need that extra support, we're always there to help them. Life is a process, and I'm glad that we get to be part of that process. We provide that trusted space for the young people, keep learning, keep growing, and they can always come back. We have the saying, once OFS, always OFS, and we're there for that process. So please support that amendment to have those funds towards those young people that need that fresh start. So young people that we serve, they're part of this community, and I strongly feel that it's our responsibility to help support them. So thank you for this opportunity.
After Andrea, we'll go with Greg Markle.
All right. Hi, I'm Andrea Mizraelli. I'm an MMSD graduate and a teacher at Wright Middle School. I'm here to speak about student-centered staffing. I'm here to speak how MMSD does staff allocation for the upcoming school year. Allocation should be based on what the school's community and SBLT decide they need together to successfully educate and meet our students' needs. Last year, administration decided to cut 5% of staff from every school because of declining enrollment. Not every school was predicted to decline in enrollment, yet these schools still had to make the cuts. The 5% enrollment decreases was predicted for a few years out, which recently has been proven as false for this coming school year. We didn't have a decrease at all in enrollment, yet schools never received 5% staffing that was reduced back. Also, administration mentioned that if MMSD tried to post teacher positions right now, they would go unfilled from a lack of people applying for MMSD positions. This is why the 5% allocation should not be cut in February and March based on predictions rather than our actual numbers. If these school positions were posted in May and June, or staff not surplused in these schools, MMSD would have a chance to fill these positions, leaving our students to start the year out smoothly with fully staffed classrooms. The way allocation works with SEAs has to stop now. MMSD can cut around 50% of SEAs in the spring and expect them to come back on July 1st or in September when we need them back. This is inhumane. And why would these important staff members feel valued and welcome and want to continue working in MMSD? I wouldn't. We don't have to continue the same process because that's how it's always been done here in MMSD. Let's break the broken systems together so our students can have fully staffed schools that they deserve. And I didn't write this before, but we have to start now before all of a sudden it's going to be January and February when allocations come out. You know, it's a blink of eye. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Greg Markle, and then after Greg, we have Greg Jones.
So the funding is tapped out. $133,000 was fully encumbered by September. At that point, MMSD stopped allowing enrollment of folks who were referred, some folks who were scheduled to start the next week. Operation Fresh Start offered hope from our young people that somehow we could put the funding together if it didn't come through from MMSD and or our very small reserve fund, much smaller than yours at MMSD's to make it work. But that's not gonna make it. Between October and June, on a given year, 30 young people would be enrolling in Operation Fresh Start in the enrollment which we have. Brian talked about the January young person. There's also the April young person, the June young person. And that affects those young people very personally, but it also affects some larger numbers at MMSD. One is we were all happy at the operations meeting when enrollment was higher than what we thought. The reality is those 30 young people, many of them won't be here next September if they aren't enrolled this year. They won't stick around. If you put them into a program in May, when they finally say, hey, now I'm ready, and you put them into a program which ends in June, they aren't going to be there in September to get counted. So OFS receives about a third of the revenue which MMSD does for each young person. So your return on that investment is 200%. So show me something where you get a 200% return on investment in under a year. Wow. So think of that, think of the enrollment numbers, but think of the other number as the graduation number. Specifically, OFSU works with largely a population of people of color. And it's not about butts and seats and alternative programs. It's about the right opportunity for the right young person at the right moment. You've heard from young people where Operation Fresh Start Legacy Program is that opportunity. You've heard that a GETO 2 might be a wonderful opportunity for some young people, but 90% of our young people don't read at the required level by DPI to function in that GETO 2 program. So that's not the right opportunity for most young people who come to Operation Fresh Start. So somehow, I'm not sure how the budget got cut. I think there's two things that didn't happen. I think one thing that didn't happen was a conversation with young people, emerging adults who have thoughts and feelings and ideas. And another thing that didn't happen was a conversation with the school-based staff, the counselors, the social workers. Over 1,000 people have signed a petition asking you to restore this funding. Over 30 of them were those high school staff people who are in direct communication and engagement with those young people and understand what they really need. I ask you, please restore this funding. Let's build this partnership. It's a wonderful partnership. Let's make it excel. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. You're not asleep. I've been eyeing that candy in front of Allie all night, thinking that this is the season. My name is Greg Jones, and I serve as president of the local NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And I'm honored to be in that position. We have been engaged as a branch in the selection process of the upcoming appointment of the Madison Metropolitan School District Superintendent. It's my understanding that tonight you will be taking some actions or putting in some effort to build a profile for the position description that would follow and open up and lead to the recruitment of that individual. I also come to you as a former State of Wisconsin Affirmative Action Director for the state of Wisconsin for about 11 years. Also, I describe myself as a retired bureaucrat, having worked in several state agencies, several different positions. But tonight I want to speak to you in terms of your mission and vision in the selection of that position. I have participated in the online sessions by Alma, and I've attended the meeting and gathering at La Follette High School. We've discussed this issue in the Education Committee of the branch, NAACP branch, and I want to leave you with a few comments like this. One of the questions we were asked in that session with Alma was to identify what we loved about this district and what was important for the upcoming superintendent to know. This is my response. I identified the resources in this community as options and opportunities for all students, such as the University of Wisconsin-Madison, State Street and all of its fervor, the Wisconsin State Capitol and all of its history, the Old Brick Botanical Gardens, the Children's Museum of Art, the Henry Vilas Zoo, the Madison Children's Museum, and many more resources. Remember, I told you one of the questions was, what should a candidate know about this community? I shared the following. The poverty rate in Madison, Wisconsin in 2021 was 16.6%. 42,196 people live in poverty in this community. This tells me that there are two Madisons. The upcoming superintendent needs to be thoroughly aware and thoroughly prepared to deal with what I'm going to offer you in about 20 seconds. Continuing with this poverty issue, the state of Wisconsin poverty rate compared to Madison's poverty rate, Madison's poverty rate is 53.76% higher than the state of Wisconsin's poverty rate. So why do I offer that? Because the incoming superintendent needs to understand the impact of poverty on learning. We challenge you all to build that profile tonight that includes the following. That superintendent needs to understand, put together a plan for teacher retention, emphasizing community collaboration. And lastly, I'll leave it here. The National Association for Education, National Education Association reports that approximately 50% of new teachers will leave in 5 years. If we don't challenge ourselves to build a profile that includes an individual who can build promise, hope, and outcome, we miss the boat. Thank you.
Thank you. We had one more registered speaker, and as I look at it, the speaker did not wish to speak. So I will just read what they wrote. This is from Giselle Yadro. And the comment is, the subject is about school start time. And the comment is, I oppose the schedule change because it interferes with after-school activities. And some kids here have to walk home in the dark if the time changes. With that, it concludes our public comments for tonight. Vice President Pearson is going to make one correction from our remembrances, and then we're going to call a 5-minute recess before we go on with the rest of the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Michelle, for letting me correct myself. The student that I mentioned in the remembrance, I said Keisha, and her name is Kaisha. And so I just wanted to make sure that I made that that apology, but also that I corrected myself in that. So thank you.
All right, let's go for a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
Sorry. I got sharp.
All right, we're going to call the meeting back to order. Calling the meeting back to order. All right, we're going to move on. Hello, we got business to do here. All right, we are going to approve the minutes. I move that the Board of Education minutes from the regular meeting date September 26, 2023.
Second, Nikki Vandermeulen.
All right, any corrections to the minutes? All right, seeing no hands. Talia, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, we are going to have board president announcements. Vice President Pearson, you want to kick us off with celebrating our students?
Absolutely. The Board of Education would like to recognize the efforts of our high school scholars who have worked hard to produce outstanding fall theater performances. East High School's production of Snappy's Happy Half Hour has moved on to sectionals in the Act 1 play competition on November 4th. Memorial High School students performed Rumors, which wrapped up over the weekend. La Follette High School students will be performing Radium Girls November 9th through the 11th. West High School students are working on a student-directed one-act plays to take place later in the year. These talented students are truly inspiring, and we acknowledge their dedication to the arts. We also appreciate our staff for the guidance and support they give to our scholars.
Thank you. Celebrating our staff. The board would like to acknowledge the following staff members on their recent award recognitions. For their commitment to excellence in community and civic engagement, the Civil Recognition Award was given to 3 Sandburg Elementary staff, including Principal Lori Lopez, Community Schools Resource Coordinator Jeremiah Covington, and 4th grade DLI teacher Jimena Meyer. In addition, the Northside Planning Council named 3 Lakeview Elementary members as recipients of North Star Awards, including Principal Nu Vang Vu, Family Liaison Eve Ropel, and Student Yasar. And the Leslie Ann Jordan Vasquez Teaching with Kindness Award was given to the Memorial High School ESL teacher, Ann Nesvik. I'm sorry if I messed that up, Ann, in recognition of her kindness, inclusivity, and equitable practices in the classroom. Major congratulations to this educator as well.
Celebrating our community, the Board of Education would like to wish our community on early and happy Hmong New Year. We recognize the rich culture and experience of our Hmong neighbors. The Madison community is invited to celebrate Hmong New Year on November 4th and 5th at the Alliant Energy Center.
Not yet, Board Member Vandermeulen. I know you're getting excited. Superintendent search update. Just this evening at approximately 5 p.m., the Board of Education held a special meeting and open session workshop to discuss the superintendent search. Monica Rosen, who is the CEO of Alma Advisory Group, provided a brief search update. I'm sorry, that was not tonight. That was back on Tuesday, October 17th. We did have an open workshop this evening. Let me get it together. Okay. She provided a brief search update, reviewed the community input report, and discussed the superintendent job profile. And a full recap of that meeting back from October 17th is available on the MMSD website at mmsd.org/superintendent search, one word. Alma will be posting the position on behalf of the district. We heard tonight within 24 hours. And the focus in November and December will be on recruitment and peak recruiting. Thank you. And now we also have a couple of proclamations. We will start with Board Member Muldrow with Gifted Education.
Thank you, Board President Nichols. Whereas we are all responsible for the future we collectively create, all students with intellectual, academic, creative, leadership, artistic gifts and talents must be appropriately identified, instructed, and supported, so they too can help co-create novel approaches, systems that help create a better Wisconsin. And whereas giftedness comes in a variety of domains, it has no limits related to age, race, ethnicity, or national origin, economic status, sex, gender identity, or gender expression, or sexual orientation, religion, multilingualism, or ability. And whereas collaboration between students, families, school district staff, organizations, community members, and nation serves as the critical foundation for supporting and engaging every learner as high ability / high potential. And whereas the Wisconsin Association for Talented and Gifted celebrates their 50th anniversary after then DPI State Superintendent William Call appointed a gifted / talented education advisory committee, which eventually led to what is now known as WATG. And whereas the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction joins the leadership of the Wisconsin Association for Talented and Gifted, Badger Pre-College, the Wisconsin Association of School District Administrators, the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, the Association of Wisconsin School Administrators, the Wisconsin Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, and the Cooperative Educational Services agencies as we work together to support Wisconsin's children with gifts and talents. Therefore, I, Jill K. Underly, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, declare this month, October, as Gifted Education Month in the state of Wisconsin.
Thank you. Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yes. Whereas research indicates a strong correlation between student achievement and family engagement. Whereas National Parental Involvement Day is observed in Wisconsin on the third Thursday in November to celebrate the recruitment, engagement, and recognition of the contributions of dedicated school volunteers and families taking an active role in their child's education. Now, therefore, this Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education recognizes all the ways parents, guardians, and other family members are involved in their children's education. Be it resolved, the statement be permanently printed in the Board of Education minutes for the meeting of October 30th, 2023. Nichelle Nichols, President, Board of Education.
Thank you. Well, that concludes President's updates and announcements. Thank you to my colleagues for lending your voices on proclamations. We're gonna turn it over now to our superintendent for updates and relevant celebrations.
Thank you, Board President Nichols, and thank you, board members. I also would like to thank our public speakers for sharing their thoughts with us this evening. So tonight I'll be sharing two celebrations and then going a bit more in depth on our shift in yellow bus transportation that we announced last week. So first of all, a celebration for Hispanic Heritage Month. First, I'd like to uplift the amazing efforts of teachers, staff, and school communities in organizing events and activities to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. This year's national theme, Todos Somos Uno, we are all, we are one, reinforces the diversity inherent within the Hispanic Latino population, as well as the power that comes from being a united community. We have a video story to share that highlights a portion of our school events celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month.
There are many cultures within the Latino population, many celebrations, and there's a ton of resilience, strength, and love within the community.
It's really important that you show the true love of being Hispanic.
That's what I like to see is that we are all coming together, supporting each other, and leaning on each other to make our community a place that's welcoming and safe for everyone.
Muchas gracias a todos. Estoy muy orgullosa de lo que soy representando la comunidad latina.
Yo sé que el río me ama.
Thank you, Jesse. These celebrations are an important way to honor and recognize the culture and contributions of our Latinx population. I'd like to thank our Multilingual Programs and Services Department who worked behind the scenes to uplift these wonderful school celebrations. So next, we're going to celebrate the 27th Annual High School Research Internship Poster Session. There's some amazing learning that has gone on around science and our students. Over the summer, 25 MMSD high school seniors, including our own student board representative, Talia Richmond, participated in the High School Science Research Internship Program on the UW-Madison campus. This program is supported through a partnership between MMSD and the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And students are partnered with researchers at UW-Madison for an authentic science research experience for 10 weeks. And I can tell you their varied topics that they get to immerse themselves in are nothing short of amazing. At the end of September, students presented their findings at the UW through poster presentations in a gallery format, as you see on the photo on this slide. Students answered questions about their work and they talked about their projects. These projects covered a variety of scientific exploration, including investigating time-restricted eating and the effect on cardiovascular functions, exploring the genetics of fungal detoxification, and how cosmic ray injections change the thickness of galactic disks. These projects are really simply amazing and showcase the brilliance of our students. I'd like to commend our students for committing to these robust learning experiences over the summer and then sharing what they have learned with us this fall. I'd also like to thank our amazing teachers and staff, including Pete Yeager, our district science teacher leader, who put kids first and provided our students with these great opportunities to extend learning. So now I'd like to transition into providing more information about our decision to shift start times as a result of our yellow bus transportation challenges. So as most of you know, on Friday, I shared a video with the MMSD community outlining the factors behind the decision. I want to continue to be transparent with the community and ensure information is also provided publicly here tonight at the board meeting. I want to thank our transportation team, our principals, our senior team and cabinet members, our clerical staff, teaching and learning, and MSCR. You have spent countless hours on this, working to find a better way to get kids to school safely and on time. Thank you. I know your energy has been focused on this and you are appreciated. But I want to say a few things first to folks in our community and who may even be in this room. We hear you, those of you who have been sending emails and contacting us. We know buses are late and inconsistent. And while some students have not been impacted at all, many of our students have and continue to be impacted. This is a district-wide problem. We know the situation we are in, and making start time changes are not our first choice, but we know we need to act.
Students can't be waiting on buses that may or may not be late. Weather is changing. It's already getting colder. Our sidewalks are already icy, as we know. We needed to make changes that impacted the fewest number of schools. And please remember, in this start time change, the majority of schools and students will not be significantly impacted. Staff members cannot continue teaching and learning time at a loss. Our safety cannot continue to be compromised. We know there is anger and frustration, and we know these emotions are real, but we know the status quo is not working. So I want to talk about kids first, what we are doing for kids in schools where there actually will be a change in start time. We have worked to secure supports for these students. For elementary schools that are most impacted, we're working to secure an early homework and breakfast time for families who can't make the shifts work in their work or family schedules. We want to thank our building leadership at Anana and Henderson for thinking this through, as well as our state and federal team, including Jennifer Waldman. We have resources to support our students and families as start times change in these schools. I'd like to thank our MTI team. We have let MTI know that our schools are working together to hear and respond to the needs of staff members who will be impacted by these start times. And we know that we need to take care and have grace as people adjust the time changes to their individual circumstances. We need to support people during the transition. We will be patient and we will work with our staff to make the best of a very difficult situation. We are also working with our teaching and learning team to support schools with shared staff, working to modify schedules and supports. A shout out to MSCR and our food service and nutrition team to helping to make it work, all within their own programming across the district. As for crossing guards and working with the city, elementary schools will have crossing guards. There will be some changes to middle school crossing guards as they are actually not required in the city. There will be improvements to crosswalks and corners, including updated lighting and mobile speed signs. Families can also get slow down yard signs. I would like to shift the conversation and step back a little bit and take a minute to examine our work together related to transportation, because a lot has happened since the beginning of the year and in the last couple of weeks. The administration has been providing transportation updates to board members on a weekly basis via weekly updates and in board briefings. We talked about it on the September 11th work group, and the board discussed the issues related to late buses and the number of drivers. 4 weeks later, on October 9th, we talked about transportation again at the operational work group. We talked about late buses, driver shortage, and the worries and concerns about student safety and the burdens placed on schools when buses were late for at times up to 1.5 or 2 hours. The board discussed the need to implement change of some sort, up to and actually including changing start times. We acknowledged the disruption that would be caused, but we also all acknowledge the safety issues and significant loss in learning time we are all currently experiencing. We talked about that date of November 6th as both daylight saving time and the start of second quarter, which might make this a natural transition and would give families, schools, and staff 2 to 3 weeks to plan. So now I want to move on and talk about what we did between the last time we talked and now. So the first thing we wanted to do was meet with the city of Madison about the potential to use Metro buses again, the mainline routes for middle school students, as that would free up drivers for unfilled routes. When we had this meeting with the city, and we want to thank the city, it was clear that the strategy would not work and it would cause more issues for students and challenges for the city. Students would have to walk to mainline stops before and after school. Some students would have more than one transfer, and Metro stops didn't align to school start times. We also worked with the internal teams around lunches, snacks, shared staff, MSCR, and we got feedback directly from principals after the October 11th principal meeting. We adjusted routes. Kenneth in our transportation department told me today we adjusted 25 routes and made other refinements, but it just wasn't enough. Subcontracting with other bus companies wasn't possible. Other bus companies are experiencing severe driver shortages as well. We're feeling some of that in our charter, athletic, and field trip bus contracts too. We had problem-solving sessions with principals and the transportation team. And what we found actually that solutions were minimal in a really complex environment. We met with MTI to talk about different options, which weren't many because we needed so many drivers. And we talked about the possibility of needing this modified third tier. And on October 23rd, we sent a communication to families and staff about transportation changes. We wanted to give 2 weeks notice. We wanted to honor the board's wish to think about November 6th start date, and we knew we had to troubleshoot. To have waited longer than this would have pushed implementation timelines into December. Weather would be colder, late buses would continue, and students would continue to be impacted. I want to clearly address the questions about feedback. People have been saying, why haven't we been asked? We want a chance. I get that. And this is the honest answer. To have asked for feedback would have assumed that there was an array of viable options from which to choose, and there simply was not. It would have been disingenuous to ask for a wide range of feedback in this very logistical and complicated transportation environment. Our options were limited. There were so many logistics, and we wanted to both give families and schools several weeks to plan, and we had to balance that with this sense of urgency. So we studied 3 versions of the modified 3-tiered system. As my team knows, I always say we had 3 goes at the 3rd tier. And please note, when we talk about the modified tier, this is general ed routes. Our special ed route system is a completely different system. Those drivers don't need CDLs. That route actually has been running very smoothly, and we anticipate that set of routes to continue to run smoothly. So we had 3 tries with the modified 3-tier, as I said. One version impacted far too many schools. So the team went back. One version pushed start times too early and too late. That version also would have required us to go back to the handbook with MTI. The final version, although not perfect, far from perfect, did meet our goals, was to free up more drivers, impact the fewest number of schools, honor the board's commitment to a later start time for middle school students, as discussed in 2018, and maintain handbook hours for our staff. There's also an unintended result of going to this modified 3rd tier. We actually believe that we can work with our first student partners to create a 4th tier of after-school busing to align with MSCR program. We are hopeful that as we get more drivers, that we'll be able to free a number of buses and routes up so that students in MSCR could also have transportation when it gets dark after MSCR programming. So more about that to come. That's a big benefit. So bottom line is we cannot run the current system and have enough drivers. In fact, we believe that in 24, 25, we actually might still be in a 3-tiered system. But that, we can talk about that at another meeting, but I do want to flag that. All of that said, we are in partnership with First Student. We want this to work. I know they want it to work. and we are relying on them to getting our students to school. We're examining the terms of the contract with our general counsel and other parties, and we know that the public wants to hold First Student accountable, and the public is holding us accountable. We have a district to run, and we have to stabilize our system. Next slide, please, Jesse. Thank you. So ultimately, we need to make the decision that gets students to and from school. And all of this has led to the decision to implement the modified three-tier schedule that you see here. So why these schools? A lot of people have been asking this. Logistically, we needed to move routes from tier 1 to tier 2, and then from tier 2 to a tier 3. We had to make the first set of schools start a little bit earlier. We had to get the third set of schools a little bit later. The third set of schools is still dismissing earlier than they dismissed last year. This honestly, really for us, for the team, was not about schools in the east side versus the west side, schools in the north side versus the south side. It really was not about that. Many have asked, what was the criteria? And it was honestly where the buses were and logistics. Specifically, we had to consider the time it would take drivers to accommodate multiple routes. You see, the drivers start on the first tier, they drive and drop, then they have to go back out and do a second tier or a third tier. So our drivers are doing more than one route. I know I am absolutely not being as scientific as the accurate, but you can probably get the idea, right? And you need sets of drivers that can do that. And we were considering the time, Kenneth and his team was considering the time, right? How long does it take to run a route? How long does it take to get the next school? All of those pieces are getting timed out. Madison's East Side schools have more schools that are geographically closer together. They're in a denser area, making it easier and more efficient for drivers on that side of the city to service additional pickups and drop-offs. Schools on our west side are more widely dispersed. So the time between schools, the ability to run multiple tiers is far different and far more difficult, meaning that we would have had to have changed start times if we did not change or if we did not go with the pattern of changes that we have now. If we went in a different pattern, we would have had to have changed start times at far more schools by more than 20 minutes each. Our transportation also had to factor in the amount of time it would take a driver to go from their first route in tier 1, as I said, to their routes in tier 2. This process was completed for more than 100 routes across the district, which informed our decision-making process 3 times for the 3 tiers. I also want to touch on why Anana and Henderson Elementary are moving to tier 2, that's the most significant change for all of our schools. We needed to move a small number of schools from the first tier to the second tier. We were looking at a number of buses to move. That would ensure an even distribution of students and buses. And again, this was driven by logistics. That said, there is a very human impact of this shift that is not lost on me. I know that some of our families and staff are adjusting their schedules, and we know that even a 5-minute change is not ideal. We acknowledge that some of our families are adjusting their family schedules by a lot more. So First Student has guaranteed us that they will be able to support the addition of this modified third tier of routes with the number of drivers they currently have. We are confident this will result in better transportation, the service that our community expects and deserves. We know that this will not be perfect. We'll experience some hiccups in the first few days, and as new or substitute drivers learn routes, along with what we know the complications are related to winter weather and construction across the city. We believe that this shift will work. And we believe that the short-term difficulties will be outweighed by the long-term benefits. So thank you, Board President Nichols, for the opportunity to share some information. And thank you, board members, for allowing me to share these updates.
Oh, thank you. Board members, are there any responses or questions just in the spirit of hearing the update, hearing all of the logistical considerations, and also taking into account some of our emails and public comments? Is no pressure, but if anybody wants to ask a follow-up or say anything, Board Member Muldrow.
Thank you so much for the information you shared with us, Superintendent Cliffstead. I think it is so much easier to take responsibility when things are going well than when things are going poorly. And I think that we all have to take responsibility for the reality of what the last few months have been like for our students. I know that I, like several other board members, have children in this district. And I see the names of the schools that our children attend on this. I also see the name of the school where my partner works on this list. And so as a person who feels the impact of this to a certain extent, I wish we had a different option. And I think that the hardest thing about this is I think that the board really grappled with this decision when we made this shift. And I think we grappled with this decision because we understood that students rely on transportation to access their education. The importance of transportation is not something that is missed by any of the members of this body. And so I think, to acknowledge how challenging this is and acknowledge that we have been in a space that was completely unacceptable, and we need to move towards a solution, and that solution is not ideal, means, reconciling with what we want and with what we have. And I think the difference between what we want and what we have is deeply disappointing. And I also think we have to acknowledge that it's not just what we want, but also what we were promised. It's what we signed up for. It's the deal that we engaged in. It's why the board voted unanimously to make this move, is because the board was assured that we could do this in a way that would benefit our young people. And it's been incredibly challenging to see the very well thought out aspirations of this move not be executed well. I guess my hope is that we can use this moment to inform our decision-making processes in the future. And I think that the criticism we will receive around this, we've earned. And I think it is fair that people share with us how hard this is and what it means to their families, and force this board to re-examine how we got to this moment, and what we can do in the future to avoid this level of dysfunction within something as essential as transportation. But Superintendent Cliffstead, I want to thank you immensely for leading at a time when it's tremendously difficult to lead. That's it for me. Thank you, Board President Nichols.
I also want to thank you, Board Member Muldrow. I also want to thank you for kind of the thorough rationale and considerations that you all were juggling as you were thinking through what was possible. I want to just also acknowledge that many of the emails, many of the comments that we heard tonight around folks really feeling that it was too short notice and abrupt and, as I heard, blind, people feeling blindsided. I think that, geez, I know from the updates that you all gave us at the operation work groups that moving to this option, a third tier, which would directly change start and end times, was the thing you were trying to avoid. I know that you all were exploring every other possible thing that you could. And at the end of the day, and this is what's so disheartening, there were too few options left. And I do know at our last operations work group, many of us talked about the weather getting cold. I brought up daylight savings time, which is actually coming up this following or upcoming Sunday. And that we needed an answer, and a solution. And unfortunately, in this case, the solution doesn't work for everybody. It is highly inconvenient to be changing school start times and end times X number of weeks into school. So I say all that to say, it is very disheartening to know that we're having such a negative impact on students, their families, and staff. And it is equally disappointing to know that the vendor that we chose has not been able to deliver. We've had them come to our operation work groups a couple of times. We understand the circumstances that you all have explained. And it's still unfortunate because there's real people being impacted. So I will say that I am sorry that we are in this situation. And still want to thank you, the transportation team, for all of the hard work that's been done to try to find a solution. The one thing I will say, Superintendent Kivstad, is one of the things that I think is standing out for me in the comments is when we're making decisions and we're exploring very few and limited solutions, I think we have to be clear about how we're applying an equity lens to our decision making. And in this situation, what I heard you say is it really came down to the logistics of how many buses were at each school and how many drivers could loop on these tiers. And I think that's, given the circumstances we're in, that probably is what you had to work with. And we also have to be just as committed to the impact of some of those decisions, and being really clear with folks who are going to be impacted the most. So I know that you have heard all of that. I know that this has not come easy for you, the transportation team, and even our partner and vendor. But I agree with Board Member Muldrow. Any of the emails, the frustrations, the hurt, and the exasperation that's coming forward, we have to sit in that. We have to own it and try to find a way forward. So thank you for your update. All right. Oh, Vice President Pearson.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I have the same sentiments as Ali and Nichelle, and I know that I've been really critical of First Student as our vendor, and will continue to be very critical, especially because we made the decision, and like my colleagues have mentioned, the decision is ours to own. However, it's also the space for them to deliver. And so I guess for me, a couple of things that I'm interested to make sure that happens is that we are communicating with our family. constantly. And so thank you for the full update on all the different areas of where you guys had to consider. And I think that if we continue with this communication loop with families, and not only our building leaders, but just all the staff and all of the teachers and all supports, like everyone, I think that my hope is that we will get to a space where folks feel a lot more support and feel like they're not blindsided. I think for me, it's still just constantly sitting with how do we hold first student accountable? Because it is a large number, a lot of money that we are spending. And the delivering is not happening. And as a parent mentioned today, they really believe, and I mean, I think we've heard this throughout the entire time of, we having the burden of ensuring, well, not the burden, but the accountability measures, and that then we're now putting that onto the families. And I want to assure everyone, like Ali mentioned, we have children in the district, and so I understand. It doesn't feel great. However, I do know that my colleagues and I are committed to making sure that we can help support in the ways that we need. So yes, thank you.
All right. This meeting is coming with a lot of heaviness tonight. Let's proceed through the rest of our agenda. We are going to hear a report out on the items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on October 2nd, 2023. I'll hand that over to Board Member Muldrow.
Thank you so much, Board President Nichols. In our last instruction work group, we focused on the special education plan and spent a significant amount of time kind of reviewing that plan. We will get another version of that plan later in the semester. We also looked at the safety and wellness recommendations, and I want to thank Board Member Castro and Board Vice President Pearson for supporting that work and that conversation. And I want to assure the community members who have spent their time and their evenings with us crafting those recommendations that we are following through on that work. At our next instruction work group, our major topic is early literacy and beyond, a teacher's perspective on instructional design. We will also be talking about secondary, early college, and advanced coursework.
Thank you, Board Member Muldrow. Next, we'll report on items that proceeded through the operations work group held on October 9th, 2023. I'll pass that over to Board Member Castro.
Thank you. At that meeting, we reviewed our third Friday September count and how that impacts our final budget revenue. We received an update and gave input on the food and nutrition plan for the district and where we want to go. We also discussed transportation at that meeting. And then finally, we reviewed policy 1301, our policy on policies. Our next meeting is slated for November 13th next month, where we'll be discussing our budget forecast for 24-25, review the guiding principles for that, and then we'll be looking at our plan for ESSER funding and projects. Additionally, we will look at the long-range facilities report and condition report coming up, and that'll be a draft of that report. The final draft we expect to come to us in either end of November or end of December, and then finally we will look at the Nuestro Mundo charter presentation.
Thank you, Board Member Castro. We had no action items that proceeded through the instruction work group in the month of October. we do have an action item that proceeded through the operations work group held on October 9th, 2023. And that is, as Board Member Castro just talked about, our Board Policy 1301. I move that the Board of Education approve the changes to Board of Education Policy 1301 titled Proposed Policies as set forth in the materials prepared for the October 30th, 2023 regular meeting with said revisions to take effect immediately.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? I'm not seeing any, which I'm assuming means that everybody's good with the revisions. Okay. Board Member Muldrow just stepped away, but I'm gonna still call. Talia, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, that's 6. And yes, okay. 6 in favor, no objections, and 1, I don't know, I guess, yeah, 1 absent for voting. Thank you. All right, our consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in Section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the October 30th, 2023 regular school board meeting. Exactly said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated, hereby subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second.
All right, any separations? $10.20. $10.24. Yes, Board Member Muldrow. 10.7, 10.28. All right, we will come back to those 4 items. Talia, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, that's 6, I believe. Blair, was your hand up for the, yes, okay. All those opposed? Board Member Castro, are you opposed?
No, I'm sorry. I'm in favor.
Okay, all right. So we have 7-0 passes. Thank you. All right, let's go back to the items then. All right, 10.7. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $74,600 for the purchase of services from the Common Threads Resource Center using funding from fiscal year 24 IDEA flow through funds.
Second, Nikki Vandermeulen.
Discussion?
Thank you. I pulled this to acknowledge the folks who came here this evening to speak on, in favor of these resources being used for Common Threads. I want to thank them for the information they shared with this body, and I want to support our vote to invest in Common Threads.
Board Member Vandermeulen.
I will second that agreement as well. I went to law school with Melody Glazer, the parent, tonight, and I am so glad that her daughter is finding a place. I am sorry that the way our education system is in this nation is unequipped to handle autistic children. And that to me is incredibly disheartening, but I'm glad that they've found a program that works, and I'm proud to support it.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing and seeing none. Talia, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, that passes 7-0. Moving on to 10.20. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $3,579,253.06 to Titan LED for the retrofitting of fluorescent light fixtures to LED district-wide with funding from fiscal year 24 Building Services Maintenance Budget.
Second for sake of discussion.
All right, Board Member Mosner Feltham?
Thanks, Madam President. I guess we talk in public meeting about this stuff, so I want to just talk with my colleagues. It's a lot of money. Without having a full facilities plan. Which I know is forthcoming. And so I guess my questions are like, must it be today? Could it be in the context of the full facilities plan? What are other people thinking about just increasing by such a huge percentage over last year? And I also understand that a piece of the point is that it will save money in electrical bills over time. I just wanted to be able to have that conversation in the public meeting with my board colleagues.
Okay, Board Member Vandermeulen?
Yes. My opinion is that I think we should also table it. I need to see a facilities plan. I don't want to reinvent the wheel and pay for something twice. Yes, I want sustainability. Yes, I want a green environment, but is it going to make things greener or better if we have to redo because it's been in with the long-term facilities plan? I'm not sure that's the best financial way of doing it, but that's me.
Is there anyone from the administration who can speak to this?
We have Bob Soldner, who is going to talk a little bit about some of the questions that were asked. Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you. So I'll start covering some of the questions and then we can go back to them in case I didn't follow all the questions. But I'll address just the lights and Titan LEDs. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll address the first ones in terms of the light fixtures and the use. The building services staff have worked with Titan LED. We have already installed the lights in several school buildings. We've met several times in preparation for this consent agenda item. In terms of the lighting, it makes substantial improvements to the classrooms and to the quality of learning. We did talk about the need for facility improvements, working on the facility improvement plan. The light fixtures can be installed, and if we get to a school where we need to be the work done, they can be removed to be replaced after the work is done. The light fixtures themselves, even if the school is renovated, are still going to be used. And so it's not like they'll be installed and then we have to buy new lights. As far as the facility plan, it's going to be no surprise to you. We have 52 school buildings and many of them need work. We're not going to be able to address the work on the best circumstance more than say 4 or 5 buildings in a 4-year period. So we're talking about it's going to take us a long time to get to the improvements for every building that we have. So the plan to install the light fixtures is not only good for sustainability and energy use, but it also pays us back on savings of utilities. Once fully installed, the whole project pays for itself in 3 to 5 years. And then it's savings on utilities and maintenance that we won't have to continue to up. So it really is a good investment, even if we have significant need to improve our facilities, which we do have significant need to improve our facilities. This is a good piece and it's a good time to do it.
Okay, Board Member Vandermeulen, Vice President Pearson, and then Board Member Simkin.
Good point. Sorry about that. Thank you, Bob, again for everything on this. The information is helpful, but I know we discussed this in one board briefing, but you said some of the lights have already been, you've been talking to the company. How many meetings have they had, and can we get an update on some of that info?
I've been in 2 meetings with the company when we were doing the research to determine the cost. They've done an analysis of the buildings in terms of the timeline. We have worked on a detailed implementation structure. As I said, the building services has been working with the company. We've already installed them in other buildings. So I can look into it and give a rundown, but those are the kind of meetings we've been having.
I'm just kind of confused on the installed in other buildings. Did we approve it or are we just doing it piece by piece? I was confused by that question.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. We did have some available funding over the last couple of years where we have come to the board and said, could you approve this consent agenda? We have a few $100,000 that these
Got it.
good lights, they save us utilities. Would you approve to install them? Plus, we wanted to see how they actually worked in the buildings. And it was all a success and the utility savings have been achieved. And so I'm excited for the opportunity. I understand the hesitancy, but it really is a good opportunity for us.
Thank you. I appreciate all the questions.
Yeah, so thank you. My question is just around the timeline. And so I know you just spoke about there's a timeline that you guys are thinking about for the 3 million. Where are we with the timeline? Like, what is the actual timeline? Is it that the lights will be installed by next budget cycle? Or it's gonna take like a couple years to install in all the schools?
So the current timeline that we've mapped out to be the support of the dollar amount. If the contract gets approved, the installation will start pretty quick. And then the plan would be to have all the buildings done by the end of summer 2024. So it's a pretty aggressive installation timeline, but the quicker we can get it done, the quicker we start realizing utility savings. And it's a good sustainability measure. By the end of summer 2024, all installed.
So all 52 schools.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad that we are thinking about sustainability. I'm glad that we are moving to retrofit our schools for better lighting for classroom for our students and, and those things. I also do have the hesitancy, as Blair mentioned earlier, of just as we are in a difficult budget cycle, to have 3 million all at once for light fixtures to public may seem kind of odd to make that kind of decision. Is there a possibility to create a slower, not so aggressive timeline?
I mean, we can definitely research the option. I'd have to work with building services, Fetland, and the staff that were part of the team to put together the proposal. It's definitely something we could, obviously look into and research.
Okay. And then my last question is just, what is the impact if we don't make a decision today and it gets tabled? What is the impact on building services and the, I guess, the facilities plan? And if you can't answer that, that's fine. I can also ask that to building services as well.
I mean, the impact is we hope to have the facility improvement plan out, that looks at all the buildings, in early November, mid-November. The impact is we wouldn't be moving forward with the upgrade of the facilities, nor we would be getting the utility savings as quick as we want. So that would be the impact.
Okay, maybe we can get some discounts. Hopefully we can get some discounts.
Board Member Simkin, followed by Board Member Muldrow.
So I'm very much in favor of steps we can take to lower our environmental footprint. And I understand that LED lighting makes a huge difference in electric costs. What I'm really struggling with is that this didn't go out for bid and it's $3.5 million. And so what I'm trying to understand is, so I've heard that the reason it didn't go out for bid was because it's a unique product. What is different about this lighting compared to all of the other LED lighting that's out there that we're not doing a cost comparison with other options?
Good evening, Board of Education, Board Member Sinking, if you don't mind, I'll try to answer that question. The proprietary product that Titan LED has is actually a patent on the cooling chamber of the light bulb. And that cooling chamber actually allows the actual lights to work at a lower temperature by the patented cooling chamber. So this allows the light fixture to last longer. We have an warranted lifespan on these light bulbs of 12 years, which is somewhat unheard of for LED lights. And the other aspect of it is that it utilizes less energy as well too. So we are already getting in the buildings where we have installed that product an improved light output with reduced energy usage, which makes this product really suitable for our applications, right? The reason why we didn't go out to bid is if we put this out on the bid, it will be a pro forma bid because this is a patented product. There's only one manufacturer in the US that makes that product. We are buying from the manufacturers. That's a significant amount of savings associated with that as well. If we write a specification for RFP or RFQ or RFB on that project, we will only be targeting third parties to purchase the product from the manufacturer and then increase the price to the district. So I think by partnering with the manufacturer, we have achieved the lowest cost possible on that specific product. And I believe that we arrived to that product by many years of research as to what is the best product to go with converting our T8 fixtures to LED fixtures. And I want to say that we are a little bit behind from converting to LED lights because they've been out in the industry for a while now. And by utilizing the antiquated technology in our buildings, we are actually incurring more cost on the utility sense. The project that we are bringing for approval tonight is targeting to save about $1 million worth of utility cost on an annual basis, which is very significant amount of money. The more we push this down the road, the more bills we will pay right now, actually. And the timeline to pay off these light fixture that we are investing in is about 3 years. 5 is very, very conservative projection. The numbers we are looking at are ensuring savings not only from the electrical bill, but also from an operational and maintenance standpoint as well. Our fixtures are aging, right? Every time we need to revamp a fixture, the cost of the electronic ballasts have skyrocketed recently. Supply chain issues is one, but also these fixtures are becoming more and more obsolete with the advancement of the LED technology. So back in the day, we could buy a ballast for $5, $6, $7, $8. Now it's $15, $20 and more. And every time we go at our suppliers to purchase more ballasts, they cost more. So that's a saving that we will be incurring from our operational and maintenance budgets as well over the lifespan of this boat.
So I do understand that we'll be saving quite a bit of money in the long run and even in the short run by moving to LED. And that it's probably something we could have done a long time ago because technology's been out there. But really my question is, we don't have, as a board, we don't have any information around any of the research that you did to decide that this was the only product that was an option. And because this is a $3.5 million request, I would want to see some comparisons to know if other similar products would cost a similar amount or not. And we don't have that information in front of us. And that's where I'm stuck.
Sure. So one of the pieces, it gets a little bit more technical. This is not the only fixture that we install in the school district right now. Many of the light fixtures that are currently getting installed are actually flat panels. They're not serviceable fixtures. Mini flat panels, you install it once the fixture dies, you just dispose of it, creating more product to recycle, right? The product we are currently looking to buy is a retrofit kit. These are light bulbs that go into fixtures. So there will be a significantly reduced amount of debris that we create or less product to be recycled, so to speak. The other aspect of it is that it is not very common to have a light bulb that is of such a quality. When I say that these light bulbs are indestructible, we have tested that they're very very tough on handling. You can drop them, you can handle, they don't break down. So that makes them very suitable for dismantling and reusing in the future as well if we need to take them out of existing features. The product is unique in its own because it provides a significantly extended lifespan of the fixture, which is what we are really interested in, because currently we have installed, for example, in our office fixtures that are 5-year LED lights, right? So in 5 years, we'll have to do it again, and then in 5 years, we'll have to do it again, while these fixtures, these light bulbs that we are proposing to be installed in our buildings will be replaced. We are targeting a 5-year lifespan, but we know the warranty is at 12, right? So when I look at facilities, I usually try to expand it over a 30-year lifespan when we talk about flooring or building equipment or light fixtures. I want to know how many times we'll need to have to replace that product, so the longevity of the projected lifespan of the equipment we install certainly has a very high factor into the decision making. So when we are looking into what does the future hold for our facilities, we incorporate how much this costs, can we afford it? How would it be? How does this affect our budgets, both operationally, but also our capital budget? Because if we buy a cheaper product, but we'll need to do capital investments 3 or 4 times in a 20 or 30-year lifespan, that's probably something we need to take a look at. And we have chosen the Titan LED product, and because of its longevity and because of its uniqueness to provide high light output at a very low energy usage cost. So this is what made that product desirable for our school district.
So I want to thank you for providing that information. I am going to vote no tonight because I don't have any sort of comparison in front of me that lets me know that this is the best option. That's what I need to be convinced, and I'm not going to be hard to convince, but I just need some data that shows me that this is worth this investment, and that we didn't have options that were comparable in quality for less money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Muldrow, and then we'll go to Board Member Vandermeulen, Board Member Mosner, and then if something that I'm holding in my head hasn't been covered, I'll add myself to the queue.
Thank you, Board President Nichols. I am planning to vote in favor of this motion this evening. I actually don't think we have the option of waiting to address climate change or waiting to address the environment. I think this goal, the board said pretty clearly to our administration, we want to move as quickly as possible towards our goal of being an environmentally friendly district, our goal of eliminating carbon emissions. I think that this is one small step in the right direction. And for me, the comparison is what we have right now. And so if you're talking about moving away from something that costs more, is less efficient, and is harder on the environment towards something that is less damaging to the environment and costs less, I don't think we have the option of being short-sighted. I think that this is the right decision to make in the long-term interests of our district, in the long-term interests of our planet, in the long-term interests of our young people. And so I'll be voting for it this evening. And my hope is whether we vote to approve this or not this evening, that we continue to tackle this issue aggressively and with a sense of urgency. I think it's easy to forget this summer, that we were all breathing smoke for a few days. But the reality of climate catastrophe is something that, will define the lives of our children. And I think 20 years from now, they'll look back at the conversations we had about the things that we could do to address climate catastrophe and climate change and global warming. And they'll wish we have done more, not less.
I respect Ali's view. I happen to be voting no on this. One, I'd like to see the data. I think it's necessary. Two, I believe all contracts should be. Three, I don't like being rushed on contracts. In fact, I made a bad decision once on one, an $81 million one. I'm not gonna make it twice, whether it be 3 or 81. So I think that needs to realize that. And thank you. Those are my comments.
Board Member Mosner Felpham.
Thank you. I think thank you for your input. I'm gonna vote no tonight, but I would love to vote yes at November regular board, unless it passes tonight, in which case it's done. And that's all fine too. I just, something about, having it come through consent when we're having a facility planning conversation, like in mere weeks, it doesn't sit right. Thanks.
Thank you. I have, my two questions are, Bob, you talked about this being an opportunity. And in recognition of the fact that it is coming to us to consent before we're kind of going to have the facility conditions report presentation next month. I'm curious about the timing of the consent coming to us now. So is there some kind of savings? There's an incentive? Is there something that we are being able to take advantage of by approving it now versus maybe a month from now?
No, timing is just getting the details, working out the implementation schedule and the actual end cost and what each of the facilities needed. That had to be completed first before we could come to you. And so, there's the cost is just not getting the projects in and not getting the savings. That's the cost. But in delay, that's what we choose to do.
Okay, thank you. And then my next question is in the consent memo, it says that the district will see about a $1 million a year savings electricity costs. Is that after all buildings have been fully retrofitted?
Yes, that is correct. After all the buildings are implemented, we have some experience with some of the buildings that the lighting is in, and as you get them in, it's phased out. It's when they're all in is the $1 million. So.
Okay. Then the last thing is, well, it's related. You said that in the consent memo, the lighting and the retrofitting has already been done at Gompers and Stevens. And that there's been immediate changes in the ambient lighting that's been, much more engaging for student learning. They're safer because they don't destruct or shatter as easily. Have you been, I don't know if our reports show this, but are you able to see just even the savings from Gompers and Stevens being retrofitted, or do we have the ability to see that at the school level? Okay, can you just say a little bit about, and if you can't, sorry.
I can speak to this a little bit. We actually came to the first month of savings and we are currently analyzing the data, but we do see the savings in what we can tell right now based on the information we have. We completed these projects at the end of last summer, technically. So the first month where we have utilized the new lights in Gompers and Stevens has been in September. We have looked at the data. There's more to be analyzed because we don't really have a mirror specifically on the lights, but we are getting what we are projecting for the most part.
Mhm. Okay. With our newest renovation and Southside Elementary, were these lighting fixtures put in as kind of a new build or?
No, so the product, the Titan LED fixtures that our group, the building services group, is particularly interested is a retrofit kit which goes into the existing fixtures, and because outside was brand new building, actually
Yeah.
gets new fixtures, and majority of these are flat panels. So even once these are cycled out, we will have to get new fixtures versus what we are trying to coordinate for our existing fixtures.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Well, I will say generally, I do hold, I hold the concern that I'm going to express isn't about the actual expenditure, because I believe that upgrading our light fixtures is the way to go. Reducing carbon footprint, leaning more towards sustainability is the direction we need to go. And it's something I've heard my board colleagues say that they're in support of. I think so for that, I can vote yes. I think the caution for me, and the caution isn't going to get in the way of me voting yes, but the caution that I would like to state is that when you see a previous year expenditure at roughly $300,000 and it goes all the way up to $3.5 million, and there hasn't really been a public conversation in our work group, I think it leads to these kinds of questions around timing. And we know that we're planned to get a conditions report, which may not address light fixtures. I really don't know, but that's coming to us in a few weeks. So unfortunately, to me, the timing of how the consent came in has caused more questions, but the expense, or rather the investment, feels like the right move from me. So that's why I will vote yes tonight. So thank you. Board Member Vandy Miller.
I'm going to ask one thing. As I said, I would vote no because I don't have the information. However, like Blair, if I had that with the facilities procedure in November, I could see myself voting for it, but I don't have the information enough to make that educated a decision.
All right, any further discussion? Oh, Vice President Pearson, is your hand back up? Oh. Okay. You good?
No, my question was just around the funding and it having to be approved within this budget. And I think we've kind of figured out with Blair's question of like, does it need to happen now or can it happen next month? And you already answered that, so.
All right, then, let's vote on this. All those in favor of this expenditure, aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's 3. All those opposed? Oh, I forgot. That's 4. Talia, I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask your advisory vote first.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion does not pass. 3-4. All right, we are on point 2.4. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $75,000 for the implementation of Atrius, the Sustainability and Energy Dashboard Platform, to allow scholars, staff, visitors, and the community to engage in and take pride in sustainability efforts of MMSD district-wide using funds from the referendum 2020 renovations budget.
Second, Nikki Vanderman.
Thank you. Board Member Feltham.
Thanks. I feel like tonight, all my questions are making me seem like I'm like ready to like go with like mountaintop removal all the way, which is not how I feel. I do feel nervous about spending money for these companies that promise solutions that like we don't have a sustainability dashboard right now. We want to spend $75,000 on one. My questions are about like, do we need one? And my other question is about, okay, if we're imagining that students are going to be accessing this, like, are there plans to partner with the instruction folks on this? Are there plans to put it into the curriculum? And my apologies for my nitpicky questions at 9 o'clock.
So the energy dashboard is actually a platform that will tie all the information from our building automation systems, utility meters, and map it centrally on one spot where we can share it on our website, on the website. And also part of the plan is to have this platform to be mapped in those so-called energy centers, which are public displays out in our current facilities in the high schools. We also incorporated this in the South Side and Capital High schools as well. We're just waiting for the platform to come alive to power this. And our plan is really to roll this out district-wide. It's not only for referendum sites. We start there. But the idea is that we will provide the opportunity for all of the scholars and all visitors to all school buildings to take pride in our energy efforts. What this dashboard will really show is our sustainability pride, which there's no field in the generation that happens on a daily basis there. It will also be bringing in our geothermal generation, because we don't have geothermal systems yet in all of our school sites, but that doesn't mean that our scholars can't take pride into the efforts of the district, right? These tools, this is actually a tool. It is a tool and a communication platform as well. The public-facing piece of this platform will be used to share our pride in sustainability and to share it publicly. Again, this will be available publicly through our website. If we integrate it with it, it has that option. But also, this is a tool that the engineering group of my team will be using in order to provide energy benchmarking, which becomes a requirement in the city of Madison as of next year. And it will also allow us to analyze our utilities information or the information from our utilities meters in order to be engaging into more energy projects. Because by not managing this scope in the district, we are leaving a lot of money on the table for the utility companies, right? It is a best industry practice in the K-12 organizations to watch closely the utility funds in order to find ways to incur savings through retrofitting equipment like LED lights or boiler equipment or HVAC equipment. And also because school districts nowadays are so short-funded, leaving money in the utilities funds by utilizing inefficient equipment is really something that school districts have found workarounds to invest into energy efficient equipment, and thus reduce the utility funds releasing funds for salaries for employees or operational staff. Many of my colleagues in our school districts are specifically looking at the utility funds as means of actually providing more funds for other projects or other staffing models, based on savings from the utilities fund, including having energy managers that pay for themselves by just looking at the utilities fund and engaging into projects that will target energy conservation. And there's into energy conservation, there's multiple pieces to it. It's not only we're going to invest, we do capital investments, incur savings. A big portion into the K-12 segment is the behavioral piece. And I am hoping that we will actually work hand in hand with curriculum instruction and incorporate this into the classroom. This is the end goal of building services, to work behaviorally on conserving the energy as well. So This will not happen overnight, so we will need to build in the culture together, but this will be a tool that we can all utilize to incorporate into our academics. Our school districts already incorporate that, looking at the curriculum for as early as elementary age where the students are studying about the natural resources and what goes into this tool will actually show how we generate the electricity, how we do geothermal generation and how we use it and what is our footprint really. So it will be a great communication tool besides a tool in the hands of.
Board Member Castro, Vice President Pearson, and then Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yeah, I just want to say I remember asking and trying to get something like this for the district. Since the referendum planning, I think it can be really helpful to show the impact of some of our sustainability investments to demonstrate to the public. I think it could be helpful in showing much needed data on the impact of investments. Yeah, I'm going to connect this to the last conversation. You know, we were asking for more information about the impact on new lighting can have and the potential savings from spending less money on various utilities. The cost does seem like a bit of a shock, so I am interested in hearing other board member questions, but I think that it could be a useful tool to one, guide our investments to reaching our goal of being carbon neutral by 2040, and it can also be a tool to hold us accountable with the public on see if we're making progress on our goal.
Thank you, Board Member Castro, Vice President Pearson, then Board Member Vandermeulen, then Board Member Simkin.
Yeah, my question was just, I know that we heard about it when we toured Southside when it was still in construction period. Our students were able to move in, and you just mentioned that you all haven't gotten the panels and whatnot to actually install them. So my question was going to be just asking like how, like with Southside and the other school, how it's been going with the panels and what are we seeing? And then also like any plans in line with what Blair mentioned of just what are our plans to kind of connect the learning pieces to the panel and the equipment. But my questions were answered. They haven't arrived yet.
So for our Southside project, when we were touring with some members of the Board of Education and our senior leadership, we were looking actually at the commons area where we have that TV. The TV is not mounted yet because we don't want to have a TV that will show anything. But the energy center is there, right? We just need the platform that will power it up and share that with our scholars. That is the plan. And the other piece is we will be bringing up for discussion the decisions for a referendum in the upcoming weeks. I think this is the first piece of this discussion is bringing up the energy center and how we are going to share the information and how we are going to monitor it. And then the next phase will be let's talk about what makes sense and what we can do in the referendum. And we will need the support. This is not a decision that building services will make in a vacuum. We will need the senior leadership and the Board of Education to be engaged in that decision. So we are looking forward to bring this up for a discussion in the upcoming month.
One, I'd like to actually hear from teachers and how they'll be able to use it. We have teachers who've been overwhelmed by a lot of initiatives. I want to make sure that they're actually able to use it and how it would work. Two, I need to see more data of this. But three, I'm going to make it very easy for people. And that is this, I don't like voting on contracts to the consent agenda. I believe that are over $50,000. I believe that needs to be in the operations work group. That's my opinion. That's not a fact. I'm just saying I'm easier to reach that way. As good an idea as this is, and it's a great one, I would be much more comfortable with one board session to discuss it in a workshop, and then I would be willing to vote for it. I just can't at this point.
Board Member Simpkins, sorry.
Thanks. Is the $75,000 a setup fee or is that an annual reoccurring expense?
It will be annual recurring expense.
Okay, so based on that, I'm again feeling like I wish I had more information. You did provide a lot of information in a recent update, and I'm still struggling to picture how much information gets cycled into this and how it can be used for analysis or how students would be able to use it for instruction. I just can't, I can't imagine what we're talking about and for an ongoing reoccurring expense that is the same cost of a staff person. I'd like to know more. Is there a place that you can direct us to see what you're talking about? Is there more information we can get around this?
We certainly could have a presentation coordinated. I think it's a matter of having the setup and the access to the Board of Education. We can have actually a presentation by Atreus presented for that. I think that will really tell its story. Some of the problems that occur with how do we communicate the information is that we really don't have a direct access to bring all the presentations that me and my team gets to sit through, right? So I think this is something that we can work towards streamlining this process because that will save a lot of ambiguity around the projects that we're bringing up for discussion at the board meeting. And I certainly like the idea of Board Member Vandermeulen about having votes in the operations work group. This will help our department significantly because with one vote per month operationally, that creates a lot of issues with the deadlines and contracting. So if there is an option, I would be very happy to work and make sure that happens because that will help our department significantly into our monthly operations, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm on that same page as well. If we're talking about a regular ongoing expense, I just want to understand it fully and know why that is money that we want to prioritize going into that. I mean, the idea of the dashboard sounds really cool, but it also sounds very vague in my mind.
So once that system is implemented and we can decide to what extent we implement it, I personally and my team would like to tie in all of the utilities information, all of the solar generation, all of the geothermal generation. I would like to include the data from our fleet operations as well, including from our partners First Student, because our carbon footprint impact is not only what we see at the utility, right? It's everything we do in our operations. And this tool has the capability to hold that information. We can at any time decide to part with the support for it, and we'll just have a standalone system which won't be updated, and at one point it will become obsolete. But if we would like to just have it implemented and installed in the first year and then not continue to update, you certainly have this option as well and save the $75,000 of support for each year. But I think in our best interest will be to have a system that will have data in real time so that we can use it into academics. And I have seen presentations from our school districts actually utilizing this in the classroom. And I would be very happy to work with our curriculum instruction team to actually create that. We are already talking about incorporating our CTE programs in our designs for the projects that we'll be building next summer, which is a great initiative. And I would like to incorporate our sustainability efforts and share the pride of what we do in the school district to every school. All right, it is not only for referendum sites, it's for every single school. And I think we have a great opportunity actually to mold the behavior and build the culture early on in the elementary and middle schools where the students will be latching on the idea of sustainability. I'm just basing it on what I see out and how excited the students are when we talk about these great things.
Thank you.
Board Member Vandermeulen, and then I have a hopefully a closing.
Chair, can we table this for a board presentation? I think that we have two members who are interested. I don't know if others are, if anyone would be interested in tabling it, possibly. Your permission.
Board Member Muldrow.
I'm not necessarily interested in enabling this. I would vote in favor of this $75,000 investment. This district spends $500 million a year on education. Were we to talk about every contract over $50,000 in work groups, that would take, I don't know, I struggle to even imagine how much time we would have to allocate in order to be able to do that. So I guess, for me, this feels like a necessary investment in sustainability. It feels like an ability to capture the information that we need to address how to make our district more sustainable. And I don't think that's done through this tool exclusively. I think it's real responsibility this board needs to take for our own policies and practices in relationship to the environment. I've advocated for such things many times before. But I guess I will say I'm disappointed tonight that the commitment to sustainability is hard to tease out in relationship to the last two items we've spoken to on the consent agenda. My plan is to vote in favor of the $75,000 for the implementation of Arteris, the sustainability and energy dashboard platform. My understanding is that is a data dashboard. Is that correct?
Correct. Public facing data dashboard. Yeah.
I do think there's something ironic about saying, hey, we need more data when the tool we're talking about would give us access to more data. That's it.
Talia.
Thank you. I know there's been mention several times about kind of student involvement in all of this. And based on previous conversations I've had with green clubs from throughout the district and with Student Senate, initiatives like these that the board supports are very meaningful and very valuable to us. It really demonstrates that you are advocating for policies that will protect our environment and our futures. And that's really valuable to a lot of students, and all of these policies that you support, students are very much in favor of.
Thank you, Talia. I just want to add, for those of us that receive a monthly electricity bill or a monthly water bill, you'll oftentimes see on your bill what you consume this month, how that compares to what you consumed this month a year ago. And if you've been in the place of the year before that, it gives you some trend data. To me, that's what this is. It is literally the background infrastructure that will pull data together, that will literally answer the questions like we were just asking, like, hey, when you replace those light fixtures, are we actually seeing the energy savings? I mean, I don't mean that in terms of pulling the consent. I'm saying some of the things I've heard us say that we're really interested in when we've had sustainability come up in front of us, I don't think this team can answer easily. And so I believe that from what I'm seeing, and I just went on their website and I've been clicking through, atrius.com. I've seen enough to kind of understand that I think it provides an integrated platform to finally get how much energy is being consumed in a building, what the carbon something is, the water use, the da-da-da, I don't know how that plays out instructionally, but I do think you can't really bring all of that data together easily and with like analytics and visuals without having, the software. So that's what I feel like we're investing in. And I do feel like, to board member Muldrow's point, it doesn't automatically make us sustainable, but it helps us at least get clear on like how we are consuming energy and where we're starting to reduce our footprint. So I'm going to vote yes for it. All right, board member Vandermeulen.
Just the permission to further explain why I'm voting no. And the reason why I'm voting no is I like the education piece. I like that. I want to know financially what it's 75,000 recurring. I worry about that. Also, I work, as much as I am for sustainability, and I've seen when we banned straws and the disabled community wasn't even asked. I've seen other things that was happened at the city, and it ended up failing because we didn't have the research. I want to have it so that it works. I want to have the panels, if we need panels set up. I want everything done so that it can work and work well, so that we don't waste that $75,000 while we're setting it up. So to me, the problem is implementation. It has nothing to do with the goal itself.
Oh, Board Member Simkin.
Another question for you. So now I'm looking at it on their website, which is helpful. How much person power does it take to feed the numbers into the system?
Once implemented, this should be automated. We are not planning to dedicate specific resources into pulling and administering the data per se. So it's not a clerical work. It should pull the information automatically from our billing automation and utilities meters. So the A3s is a tool that automates energy management. I don't think we're doing a lot in that regard, but it's about high time that we do that because, again, going back to the conversation, when we use energy inefficient systems, that has its financial impact on our organization, right? So we want to make sure that we are looking closely at our utility funds and our energy management as a cost saving measure, right? And also as to build the culture and to build the culture in our scholars of sustainability, which will grow back into the community as well, right? So this tool also will allow us to do capital planning based on our energy usage and needs. And because we are a district that does have renewable energy goals, it is imperative that we have some tools that will help us monitor and measure our efforts and help us make plans. So again, this is both a tool and a resource, and it can be used in education. I have seen presentations for our school districts. Our neighboring schools use such tools into the classroom, and I will be very happy to work in close collaboration with our curriculum instruction to incorporate this into our instructional side of the operation.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Board Member Castro.
Thanks. That just reminded me of one last thing, and I want to link it back to the LED lighting that we just discussed. I remember sitting in on some it's late, whatchamacallit work groups, sustainability committee work groups that has advocated before the district. And one key hope was from the last contract, and it's related to Board Member Simpkins' question about, will there be a staff person required to implement and monitor this dashboard? There's been talk about hiring a efficiency czar or efficiency manager, a project manager responsible for seeing to that the district reaches the sustainability goals. The LED lighting cost savings would help us fund that position. So some of these things are interlinked together, but that is a hope for the next budget cycle that we get that sustainability czar hired that could cobble together the entire district a real hard-nosed sustainability plan to reach our 2040 goal. I just want to highlight Board Member Muldrow's and Board Member Nichols' point about asking for more data. This is the data dashboard. This helps substantiate a lot of the claims and visions where we want to go. So thank you.
All right. Doesn't look like we have any further discussion. With that said, the expenditures for $75,000. Talia, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. 6. All those opposed? 1. That motion passes. Thank you. All right, we're going on to 10.28, which I believe was the last item separated. I move that the Board of Education accept a donation in the amount of $150,000 from the Roots and Wings Foundation to support mental health needs among MMSD students. Can somebody second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Pearson. Board Member Muldrow.
I pulled this motion so that I could recuse myself.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing and hearing none. Talia, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? All right, none opposed and one abstain recusal. One recusal, okay. You got it, Jesse.
May I make a quick comment?
Yes.
To thank Roots and Wings. This is a very generous donation for a much needed cause. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Board Member Simkin. All right, we are now going to move on to other reports to the board, starting with the City County Schools Collaborative Committee, formerly known as the Education Committee. We held a meeting on October 11th. We continue to have some discussion regarding the status of MMSD Driver's Education Program. The major topic, though, was us coming together as city, county, school board elected folks to really talk about what is in our respective budgets and what recommendations we would like to make as a committee, in particular to our committee's priorities, which is child and youth homelessness, digital equity, transportation, mental health, and youth and employment. And we actually drafted a letter that will be sent to each of the respective bodies, our recommendations. Our next meeting is November 8th, 2023. I want you all to take note. We're no longer called the Education Committee. The name is new. The City, County, Schools Collaborative Committee. Okay, thank you. Student Senate.
Thank you. So during Student Senate's last 3 meetings over the course of the past month, we provided input that will inform the superintendent search. We continued committee work, developed formal meeting norms, and then had focused discussions on some of the Board of Education decisions from the past couple months. And our next meeting is on November 8th.
Thank you, Talia. All right, the Madison Schools and Community Recreation Advisory Committee, Board Member Feltham.
Yep, thanks. The advisory committee did not meet, but I do have some highlights to share about what all has been happening in MSCR this fall. I'm going to highlight with thanks to Janet Dyer for the info. The fall middle school sports program, which is up significantly from last year, with 9 soccer teams and 12 regular matches and a season-ending tournament held just a little over a week ago with no tournament last year. So that's a big, exciting thing. 14 volleyball teams from 8 schools with 16 regular matches and an ending tournament. Total participation for secondary after-school programs has been more than 2,000 students. So exciting. MSCR is also feeling struggles from transportation and is continuing to work with First Student to problem solve their needs. Lastly, the Friends of MSCR silent auction starts on November 6th, and all proceeds will support MSCR programs.
Thank you. Policy Committee, I'm not sure if you have any updates. I know we just passed a policy tonight, so is there anything to report on?
No, there is not. We will be meeting as a committee to, yes, we'll be meeting soon.
Okay, thank you.
It's almost time.
Board Governance Committee, we've also forgot to send an update. Do you want to report out, Board Member Simkin?
Yes, I do. Okay, so we have met once more with 2 facilitators for an upcoming retreat, which we'll have on November 10th, I believe. And at that time, we will officially start diving into board governance. is really exciting after laying the groundwork for about, what, 9 months? So we're gonna get started on it with a short discussion that's just grounding us in what board governance is and what it means moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are now into other business. And guess what our other business is tonight? Bump, ba-da-dum, bump, bump, the 23-24 budget. Okay, drum roll. It is getting late and we are getting a little loopy. Okay, let me see, recommended motion. All right. Thank you all. I move that the board approve and adopt the 2023-2024 budget as presented in the 2023-2024 fall budget book for the October 30th, 2023 regular meeting in the following amounts. Total revenue for all funds, net of interfund transfers, $564,869,163. Total expenditures for all funds, net of interfund transfers, $579,873,117. I further move that the board certify the 2023-2024 all fund tax levy in conjunction with the 2023-24 budget in the total tax levy amount of $380,672,009, which consists of the following specific subcomponents. Fund 10 General Fund, $338,828,498. Fund 39 Referendum Approved Debt Service, $19,943,092. Fund 41 Capital Expansion Fund, $5 million. Fund 80 Community Services Fund, $16,900,419 for a total tax levy of $380,672,009.
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Pearson. Discussion, Board Member Castro.
I would like to propose an amendment. I move to amend the 2023-2024 budget to include $117,000 in additional expenditures for Operation Fresh Start.
Second.
Discussion,
Just want to say thank you, Savion, for making this amendment, and I'm really glad to vote for it.
I'll just add, the case was made by all the young people tonight, and it is 9:48.
any other discussion? Okay. Talia, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor, aye. And that passes 7-0. Thank you. Any other discussion? Board Member Mosner Feltham.
Thank you. I move to amend the 2023-2024 budget to include $137,000 in additional expenditures that provide each staff member and building trades employee with a $5 wage increase for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, less any wage increase that they received or would have been eligible to receive as the result of the 8% COLA increase for all MMS.
Second.
Discussion, or would you like to, as the maker of the motion, say more?
Sure. I know that we're due for broader conversation about compensation in MMSD, or to continue the conversation that's been going on. I know also that we need to address issues of wage compression in the salary schedule. I don't think that now is the time to do that, but I do think that this is a great place to start our 23-24 school year.
Board Member Van de Meulen.
Yes, I would be happy to support this particular motion, namely because we're about $8 behind on in certain areas. We can't find carpenters. I think that going in, we're still building and we're running out of people. I think that that's necessary to pay a wage that is a fair wage, and I think it's only right.
Any other discussion? Board Member Muldrow? Oh, okay, I thought you were turning the mic on. Okay. All right. Talia, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, that passes 7-0. Thank you. Any other discussion or amendments? Board Member Muldrow.
I move to amend the 2023-2024 all funds tax levy to include an additional 4 million to fund 80. And I move to amend the 2023-2024 all fund tax levy to include an additional 7 million to fund 39. Second. Thank you, Board.
Discussion? Or Board Member Muldrow, as the motion maker, would you like to say more?
Thank you. I would like to ask our CFO, Bob, if you could speak to what this does to kind of the long-term reality of our budget, and how distributing this funding between Fund 80 and Fund 39 will materialize to benefit our district's financial health and the well-being of our young people.
The additional $4 million for Fund 80 will allow the MSCR program to address much needed capital expenditures to several different projects. We can work with MSCR to talk about the improvements. Some of the priority projects were improving the facilities at the school forest, looking at other programming for MSCR to expand the services that are offered. The additional $7 million Fund 39 will allow the board to defease the 2020 referendum debt, which will allow us to pay the principal down, which has significant savings over the life of the 20-year bonds. $7 million would generate in the neighborhood of, I'm just rounding, about $12 million in combined savings with the purchase of the additional principal buying down and saving of the interest over time. The addition of the 17.5 million to the school levy tax credit really allows a netting to the taxpayer in the end, reducing the levy that the board sets tonight, whatever that ends up being in total. The levy that the taxpayers ultimately end up paying is reduced by an additional money the legislature put into the school levy tax credit of $17.6 million. It's over $1 billion in property tax relief that the legislature now provides. And so the action of the board to invest not only in MSCR and the ability to speed the payment of Fund 39 debt on a one-time basis tonight will also then allow the board to take a look at total levy and possible potential abilities to reduce next fall's levy by an equal amount. So it puts the board in a good position to look at the future needs of the district, whatever they may determine it to be.
Thank you so much. That's it for me.
Any further discussion or questions on this one? All right, seeing none. Okay, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor, aye. All right, that passes 7-0. Board Member Pearson, is your hand up? Okay. We're now gonna go back to the main motion, and I know, Bob, you are, you're doing some calculating right on the spot, no problem. Before we get the updated language for the motion, are there any other comments or questions regarding just the overall 2023-24 budget with the amendments that we approved? Anything that any board members want to say? I have something. Oh,
We have in front of us our budget book, and it does not include the 3 amendments we just passed. So my question is for Bob. Will we receive an updated version of the budget book that includes these amendments digitally or in print? If so, what does the timeline look like for our more accurate budget?
Absolutely. We'll update the budget book to reflect the actions of the board tonight, and then we will provide the updated copies. Then we'll also update the online version to include the full actions of the board.
great. I'm gonna give you still a little bit more time to do your calculations. I really want to be able to make a statement tonight just because this is our final budget vote. So in this 2023-24 budget, there are many things I'm proud of in this budget as a board member. I'm really proud of our equity and excellence projects, some of which I'll list, but not all. Things like maintaining our focus on literacy, implementing recent curriculum adoptions at the elementary and the middle school levels, our expansion of mental health, and our expansion of 4K classes. I'm super proud to be on this board when we have increased the cost of living adjustment for our employees by 8%, including honoring the 2% for steps and lanes. We have added an additional $3.20 an hour for custodial staff. And we just approved an amendment in real time to also make an increase for our employees in the trades unit. This is something to be really proud of. I am also very proud of this significant amount of referendum projects that have stayed on pace, that are like amazing spaces for our students. And it's pretty unbelievable to think that the referendum from 2020, like we just opened a brand new elementary school, like literally like open the doors this fall to a school on the south side. And we have a brand new Capitol High location, amongst many other things. These are things to feel really proud of. And I say all that to say I am really proud. And yet, as proud as I am with this budget and the key investments that we've made in our staff, our programs, our buildings, and our scholars, I want to acknowledge that we have a real budget reality in front of us. We have a lot of one-time funding in this budget that will end at the end of this school year. We are using our fund balance to help balance some of the deficit, some of the gaps, and we're doing that responsibly, and we're in a very fortunate position that we can do that this year. It is not a long-term sustainable budget strategy. So I say all this to say that the budget that we are passing tonight is a budget for us to be proud of, in my opinion. And I am hoping that with every community partner, with every staff, with every scholar and family who will benefit from many of these investments, that we will be able to join hand in hand together as we start walking towards 24-25, because we are going to have tough choices to make. And there will be a lot of ongoing conversation about how we're going to make those choices and how this community is still going to stand to have the best public schools that Madison can offer. I want to thank the board members tonight who brought forward amendments. I want to thank our budget and accounting team for all of the hard work to get us an April, a June, and an October version of the budget, and for real-time calculations on the floor. And I just want you all to know it is a privilege to work and lead with you all. Okay. Ben, our legal counsel, is looking at me to make sure I get this right. Okay. So thank you all for giving me a little time to express all of that. And now we're going to go back to the main motion, and we're going to read the amended language with the updated calculations. Will I need to get another second on the amended language? Yep, let's do it. All right. I move that the board approve and adopt the 2023-24 budget as presented in the 2023-24 fall budget book for the October 30th, 2023 regular meeting in the following amounts. Total revenue for all funds, net of interfund transfers, $575,869,163. Total expenditures for all funds, net of interfund transfers, $591,127,117. I further move that the board certify the 2023-24 all funds tax levy in conjunction with the 23-24 budget in the total tax levy amount of 380, is that right? Or am I reading this? Oh, I should replace that with this. Yeah, that's okay. In the total tax levy amount of $391,672,009, which consists of the following specific subcomponents. Fund 10 General Fund, $338,828,498. Fund 39 Referendum Approved Debt Service. Are we good? Didn't I say as amended, that I was going to reread the motion as amended with the new calculations? Yeah. Did you get that? Okay. All right. Let me continue. Y'all making me nervous up here. Woo! Okay. Let me go back to the total tax levy amount. I further move that the board certify the 2023-24 all funds tax levy in conjunction with the 23-24 budget in the total tax levy amount of $391,672,009, which consists of the following specific subcomponents. Fund 10 General Fund, $338,828,498. That amount was unchanged. Fund 39 Referendum Approved Debt Service, $26,943,092. That amount changed. Fund 41 Capital Expansion Fund, $5 million. That amount was unchanged. Fund 80 Community Services Fund, $20,900,419. That amount changed. That brings the total tax levy to $391,672,009. Can I have a
Second, Maya.
thank you? Is there any discussion? All right. Talia, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. That motion passes 7-0. We have now certified the budget. Ooh, thank you, Bob, for your on the floor calculations. Ben, don't do that again. Come standing over my shoulder. We have we have no old or new business, so time to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Board Member Vandermillen made the motion. Pearson seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned. Good night.